Chapter 873. Early in the morning, a red sun slowly rose from the east, illuminating the dark, ancient herb garden. After half a night of recovery, Yi Chen-feng, whose body was filled with life Tao patterns, recovered his exhausted soul power. However, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he entered the universe realm with Xia Wendy and sat cross-legged beside the Path Understanding Tree. He comprehended the Tao patterns condensed by the Path Understanding Tree and deepened his comprehension of Tao intent. At this moment, the Spirit Fish and Fu Qingshan also arrived beside the Path Understanding Tree. They released their soul spirit and penetrated into the Path Understanding Tree to comprehend the profound Tao patterns. Days passed by. Yi Chen-feng and the other three sat around the Path Understanding Tree and comprehended the Tao patterns. On the fifth day, a powerful aura was released from the King of Massacre's body. Borrowing the powerful medicinal effects of the great Tao pill, the King of Massacre finally broke through and reached the fourth grade combat Beast Emperor realm. His strength had increased by more than 10 times. After breaking through, the King of Massacre didn't waste any time and quickly arrived beside the Path Understanding Tree. He comprehended the Path Understanding Tree and refined his comprehension of Sword Tao intent, Death Tao intent, and Life Tao intent. Soon a month passed. After a month of comprehending the Path Understanding Tree, the King of Massacre and Fu Qingshan both raised their Tao intents to the 6th heavenly layer. Yi Chen-feng's gains weren't small either. He cultivated his illusion Tao intent to the 7th heavenly layer. His Sword Tao intent, 5 Tao intent, Life and Death Tao intent, and Heaven Tao intent had also improved by quite a bit. Let's go and pick the Death Datura. Once we get the Death Datura, we will leave this place. Sensing that this withered, Path Understanding Tree wouldn't be able to improve his comprehension of Tao intent in a short period of time, Yi Chen-feng didn't waste any more time and left the universe realm with Xia Wendy. They continued to go deeper into the ancient herb garden, searching for the Death Datura planted in the deepest part of the ancient herb garden. Wait, there's a 10,000-year-old spiritual herb in the ancient restriction ahead. Yi Chen-feng followed Xia Wendy and walked through the gaps of the restriction for several hours. The God-Eater brain's energy seeped into an extremely powerful restriction and sensed the aura of an ancient spiritual herb. Next, Yi Chen-feng and Xia Wendy worked together to break through the ancient restriction. After nearly 10 hours of hard work, when it was close to evening, they worked together to tear open the ancient restriction and entered. After entering the ancient barrier, the two of them saw a tree that was more than 5 meters tall at the center of the barrier. Its trunk was vigorous, and its crown extended toward the sky. 8 fragrant peaches that looked like they were carved from jade were condensed on the tree. Ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree. Looking at the ancient peach tree in front of them, Yi Chen-feng and Xia Wendy both recognized its origin. The value of the ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree was even higher than that of the Blood Dragon Ginseng. It bloomed once every 100,000 years and bore fruit once every 100,000 years. The ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree could be used to concoct ancient Tao pills. Other than concocting pills, the ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree was also a sacred item for healing and recovery. After consuming it, one would be able to instantly recover one's exhausted soul power. The ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree was very precious, and its protector was also very powerful. However, after fusing with enough energy, the sword puppet's strength had reached level 6 Beast Emperor. It was enough to deal with the protector of the ancient Jade Immortality Peach Tree. The sword spirit puppet approached the sword spirit puppet with the Emperor's celestial sword in its hand. A level 9 heavenly beast, black spider, with legs like steel spears and a huge body appeared. It spat out extremely sharp spider silk and attacked the sword spirit puppet. Black poison spider, the protector of this ancient jade immortality peach tree, is actually such a poisonous creature. The black poison spider was a poisonous beast that had disappeared from the Xingluo continent for hundreds of thousands of years. Not only was its attack powerful, but the poison it contained was also terrifying. It was enough to threaten the life of an ordinary level 6 beast emperor. However, no matter if it was its attack, the spider's silk it spat out, or its poison, none of them posed a threat to the sword puppet. Under the ferocious attacks of the sword puppet with the Emperor's Sky Sword, the spider silk that filled the sky was constantly torn apart. The black poison spider's injuries were worsening. Large amounts of blood mixed with black poison flowed all over the ground, corroding the ground and leaving scars everywhere. Yi Qinfeng, isn't your doppelganger a little too powerful? Where did you get it from? Looking at the sword spirit puppet that completely suppressed the black poison spider, Xia Dai could not help but reveal a shocked expression. She curiously asked, "What is this?" "It's a secret." Yi Qinfeng crossed his arms in front of his chest as he looked at the ferocious sword puppet and said softly, "Can't you think of something new?" "Xia," Wendy gritted her teeth and said angrily, "I don't want to tell you." Yi Qinfeng said indifferently, "You!" Xia Wendy's face turned black again because of Yi Qinfeng. She ground her cute canine teeth and wanted to bite Yi Qinfeng a few times to vent her anger. The sword puppet's attacks got fiercer and fiercer. The extremely sharp Emperor Sky sword constantly pierced into the black poison spider's huge body and worsened its injuries. When night fell and the surroundings were pitch black, the sword puppet successfully chopped off 8 of the black poison spider's legs that were as sharp as steel spears and stabbed the Emperor's Sky sword into the spider's mouth. SS. With its body severely injured, the black poison spider constantly used its demonic powers to attack. However, no matter how it retaliated, it couldn't cause any damage to the sword puppet. Gradually, the black poison spider's attacks got weaker and weaker. Finally, it fell into a pool of blood and poison and died on the spot. Keep. With a thought, Yi Qinfeng stored the black poison spider's huge corpse into the universe realm. He then ordered the sword puppet to dig out the ancient jade immortality peach tree and transplant it into the universe realm that was rich in spiritual energy. After digging out the ancient jade immortality peach tree, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy rested in the quiet ancient restriction and waited for daybreak. Very soon the night passed. When daybreak arrived, the two of them stepped on the light of dawn and left the restriction. They continued to walk towards the depths of the ancient medicinal garden. Finally, when it was close to noon, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy arrived at the end of the ancient medicinal garden. They saw an ancient restriction that was as terrifying as the sky. There were tens of thousands of restrictions flowing around it. The death datura that Xia Wendy needed was growing in this restriction. Yi Qinfeng, I will leave the death datura to you. If you can help me pluck this ancient mysterious flower, I will definitely repay you. Xia Wendy revealed a rare solemn expression and said solemnly, clearly, this death datura was extremely important to her. Since I have promised you, I will naturally do my best. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, all right, then let us work together to tear apart this restriction. Xia Wendy revealed a rare smile. However, because of the scar on her face, her smile looked a little sinister. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy worked together to break the ancient restriction. However, the ancient restriction protecting the death datura was too terrifying. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy used all their skills and abilities, but they were still unable to break it apart after 2 days. Helpless, Yi Qinfeng summoned the space-swallowing bug and worked together with Xia Wendy to carve Dao patterns to help the space-swallowing bug resist the attacks of the ancient restriction. The space-swallowing bug had evolved into a Tier 8 heavenly beast, and its devouring power had greatly increased. It took nearly a day for it to devour a huge hole in the ancient restriction. Let's go! After the hole in the restriction was opened, Yi Qinfeng immediately kept the space-swallowing bug that was riddled with scars into the Qinkuan realm. He flew into the ancient restriction with Xia Wendi and saw the death datura that was about the height of a person. It was completely black and had thorns of death. The flower was exceptionally beautiful and bathed in a thick, bloody light. It contained a powerful death Dao will. P.S. I will post Xia Wendi's picture tomorrow. If you want to see Lady Xia, please add her WeChat public number, YLTY83, or just search Tearful Rain. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button below to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 874. Death Mandara. I finally found it. Looking at the death mandara in front of her, Xia Wendi fell into a deep excitement, her eyes blazing with passion as she spoke excitedly. However, the two of them did not act rashly, as they could feel a thick sense of danger around the death mandara. Clearly, there was something beyond their imagination guarding the death mandara. Sword puppet, go closer and take a look. Yi Qinfeng summoned the sword puppet, whose energy had been depleted by a third, and ordered it to go closer to the death mandara to lure out the guardian. Rumble! As the sword puppet neared, the ground in front of the death mandara suddenly trembled, and a huge crack appeared, blocking the sword puppet. Then, a giant ant that was more than 5 meters long crawled out of the crack in the ground. It was covered in a black gold patterned shell and had extremely sharp, sickle-like teeth. It roared at the sword spirit puppet. Black god ant, it's actually still alive. Looking at the giant ant in front of her, Xia Wendi's eyes widened, revealing a grave expression. Yi Qinfeng also felt the threat of death from the giant ant's body. Clearly, the black god ant in front of them was very powerful, possibly surpassing a level 9 heavenly beast, far surpassing him in strength. Xia Wendi, you recognize this ant? Yi Qinfeng transmitted his voice to her. According to my Xia family's ancient records, the Star Emperor's ancestor had once subdued a black god ant from the heavenly domain. It was with the help of the black god ant that the Star Emperor was able to kill the almighty of the heavenly clan guarding Xingluo, heavenly city. Xia Wendi took a deep breath and said, and from the appearance of this black god ant, it is very likely to be the black god ant subdued by the Star Emperor's ancestor. This black god ant is from the heavenly domain. Knowing the origin of the black god ant, Yi Qinfeng frowned and transmitted his voice. Doesn't that mean this black god ant is a saint beast? This divine black ant is precisely a low-grade saint beast. Even if we join forces, we won't be a match for it. Xia Wendi nodded and transmitted her voice. Xia Wendi, since you are a descendant of the Star Sovereign, can you subdue this black god ant with the power of your bloodline? After knowing the black god ant's level, Yi Qinfeng also felt pressured, so he transmitted his voice to her. Let me try. Xia Wendi took a deep breath and squeezed out a drop of essence blood, saying, I'm a descendant of the Star Emperor's main bloodline. I'm here to pick the death datura. I wonder if Senior can let me take it away? Xia Wendi squeezed out a drop of essence blood to show her identity. You are his descendant. After knowing Xia Wendi's identity, the murderous intent in the black god ant's eyes subsided a lot. He said, however, he left me with his last words. He told me to guard this death datura until my death. If you want to take it away, you have to defeat me. Defeat you? After hearing the black god ant's words, Xia Wendi's brows knitted tightly together. A normal low-grade saint beast was equivalent to a 1-star Dao saint, and this black god ant wasn't an ordinary saint beast. Its strength was even more terrifying than Devil Saint Cold Night, who was at his peak. It was a deadly threat to the two of them. However, the death datura was extremely important to Xia Wendi. It was related to her life. She couldn't give it up no matter what. Since that is the case, let's fight. Xia, Wendy took a deep breath and summoned the Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman and 4 beast flags. The Star Tao pattern and Death Tao pattern surged out from her body and condensed into a strange black moon above her head. Roar! 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 Yi Qinfeng didn't back off. Waves of world-shaking dragon roars echoed from his body. The blood dragon sovereign with the dragon prowess emerged from his body and roared at the black god, "Ant, defeat me, and this Death Datura will be yours. If you fail, you will become the Death Datura's fertilizer." Sensing the rising strength of Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy, the black god ant's eyes instantly turned blood red. It grinded its sharp scythe-like teeth and attacked Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy. Sword puppet, defend with all your strength. The black god ant's strength was too terrifying. Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to let it get close to him in case he suffered a fatal blow. He immediately ordered the sword puppet to defend with all its strength, while he and Xia Wendy used all their skills to attack. Boom! The black god ant burst out with shocking demonic power and shattered the sword puppet's continuous crescent-shaped slashes. It ruthlessly crashed onto the sword puppet's body. The impact was like a meteorite crashing onto the ground, and the sword puppet was forced to retreat several meters. So powerful, this attack actually consumed 1/5 of the sword puppet's energy. Feeling the energy of the sword spirit puppet plummet, Yi Qinfeng's expression became even more serious. With a thought, he summoned the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. He controlled the Vermilion Bird Cauldron, which was burning with flames, and smashed it toward the black god ant facing the attack of the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. The black god ant's strong body exerted all its strength and forcefully crashed into it. Boom! A huge collision sound rang out. The flames released by the Vermilion Bird Cauldron were instantly shattered. The black god ant's powerful strength directly dented the Vermilion Bird Cauldron and sent it flying. Such powerful strength. This black god ant's strength just now was close to 200 million gene. Seeing the Vermilion Bird Cauldron deeply dented, Yi Qinfeng's expression changed greatly. He didn't expect the black god ant's strength to be so great. Without hesitation, he summoned the supreme grade sage artifact, the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus, Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman, 1,000 Mountains. At this moment, Xia Wendy fused her 2 great Tao intents into the Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman. She controlled the constantly expanding Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman to suppress the black god ant like a towering mountain. However, the black god ant was too terrifying. With a slash of its sharp scythe, the Gu Dao treasure's Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman shattered. The Heavenly Mountain Tao Talisman was also forced back. Earthquake art. After breaking through Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy's attacks, the black god ant used its inherited mystique. Endless demonic energy surged into the ground, forming a huge vibration wave. It attacked Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy at an extremely fast frequency. Dodge! The black god ant's earthquake art was too powerful. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy didn't dare to take it head-on. They quickly dodged. However, the black god ant's earthquake art covered a wide area. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were still affected. Their defenses were instantly broken. They fell to the ground like kites with their strings cut. They were severely injured. You two are too weak. You should leave. If you continue to fight, you too will lose your lives. Seeing Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy vomiting blood, the black god ant didn't follow up with another attack. Instead, it spoke in human language. No, I will not give up on the Death Datura. Xia Wendy wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and said with a resolute gaze, "Junior, don't think that I will show mercy just because you are the descendant of the Star Monarch. If you too continue to be stubborn, don't blame me for tearing you two apart." The black god ant warned without a trace of emotion. Yi Qinfeng, do you have a way to entangle the black god ant for 30 breaths of time? Xia, Wendy bit her lips and transmitted her voice. You want to snatch the death datura by force. Yi Qinfeng transmitted his voice back. Yes, the death datura is too important to me. In order to obtain it, I can pay any price. Xia Wendy nodded and said, All right, since I have promised you, I will naturally do my best. However, whether I can succeed or not, only God knows. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and said, Thank you. Looking at Yi Qinfeng, who had gone through life and death with her, Xia Wendy had a strange feeling in her heart. Since you two don't know the difference between life and death, don't blame me for being merciless. Feeling Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy's auras getting stronger and stronger, the black god ant's bloody eyes emitted a thick, killing intent. Along with surging demonic energy, it launched a fatal attack at Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy. Mobile reading home. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 875, 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. Exterminate. The black god ant carried with it a frightening killing intent. Yi Qinfeng didn't hesitate to fuse with the dragon heart and ignite his dragon bloodline, increasing his soul force by 7 times. He continuously poured soul force into the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, condensing it into a killing, frenzied dragon that bombarded the black god Ant Rumble. The black god ant's surging demonic power clashed with the absolute, killing, frenzied dragon from the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, causing a loud explosion. The two powerful forces clashed and exploded with boundless energy. It was like a tsunami that swept out in all directions. The entire space was instantly thrown into chaos, just as the absolute, killing, frenzied dragon and the boundless demonic power clashed. The sword puppet tore through the destructive storm and approached the black god ant. It held the Emperor's sky sword and attacked the black god ant's eyes to disperse its attack. Be careful. Xia Wendy looked at Yi Qinfeng, whose soul power was almost depleted, and warned him. She turned into a shadow and flew towards the death mandara that was covered with death spikes. She wanted to take this opportunity to obtain it. Die. When the black god ant saw that Xia Wendy dared to approach the death mandara, it let out a savage roar. It relied on its absolute strength to push back the sword puppet and shatter the absolute, killing, frenzied dragon. It then turned around and launched a fatal attack at Xia Wendy, ancient jade peach of immortality. At the crucial moment, a precious ancient jade peach of immortality appeared in Yi Qinfeng's hand. He swallowed it whole and instantly recovered his exhausted soul power. He took the risk and approached the black god ant with his sword steps. He controlled the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus to continue attacking. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar echoed from the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. After fusing with a large amount of soul power, the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus once again formed an absolute, killing, frenzied dragon. It had the power to incinerate everything and attacked the black god ant at close range. The black god ant might be strong, but the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus was a supreme-grade saint artifact. Even if Yi Qinfeng could only use a 10,000th of its power, it was still extremely terrifying. Boom! The black god ant was attacked by the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, and its iron-like body trembled. The terrifying attack caused the black god ant to lose control of its body, and its huge body was thrown backwards. Fiend god bloodline ignite! Yi Qinfeng drank the remaining heaven-returning water into his stomach and ignited his fiend god bloodline, raising his physical strength to 90 million Jin. Wielding the heavenly halberd, a mid-grade Tao artifact that he obtained from killing the ancient undead spirit, he slashed out. Boom! The earth-shattering power slashed down ferociously, crushing all vitality as it slammed into the Black Divine Ant. The terrifying power once again forced the Black Divine Ant to retreat, not giving it a chance to attack Xia Rundai. Using Yi Qinfeng's reckless interception, Xia Wendy appeared beside the Death Mandara flower. She controlled the Tao of Star and the Tao of Death to suppress the Death Mandara flower. She was about to take it by force. However, the Death Datura's spirituality was too strong. It constantly rebuked Xia Dai, making it impossible for her to subdue it in a short time. Heaven falls and earth rends. Relying on its powerful strength, the Black God Ant stabilized its body. When it saw that Xia Wendy was about to take the Death Datura in front of it, it was instantly enraged. Rolling demonic energy exploded from its body, shattering the void and tearing the earth apart. Its killing intent was shocking as it bombarded Xia Wendy. Crescent Sword Arc. At the critical moment, the sword puppet blocked the Black God Ant's destructive attack. Its entire body fused with the two low-grade Dao swords as it turned into two crescent-shaped sword shadows and slashed at the demonic energy that could shatter the heaven and earth. Kacha! The two crescent sword shadows were instantly shattered by the shocking demonic energy. The terrifying demonic energy ruthlessly bombarded the sword puppet's body, causing it to retreat step by step. The energy in its body was instantly depleted by half. Strong, too strong. This Black God Ant is simply undefeatable. Sensing that the sword puppet's energy was almost depleted, Yi Qinfeng, whose soul power was severely depleted, immediately went behind the sword puppet. He fused all the top-grade soul crystals he had into the sword puppet's body to replenish its energy. It used all of its strength to block the Black God Ant. Transform! Battle form! When the Black God Ant saw that Xia Wendy had used the two Dao diagrams to restrain the Death Datura and was slowly pulling it out of the ground, it immediately transformed into its strongest battle form, erupting with its strongest battle strength. In the blink of an eye, the Black Divine Ant appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng, who was blocking with all his might. It launched a punch that tore through the void, aiming for Yi Qinfeng's chest. It wanted to shatter his body and stop Xia Wendy from plucking the Death Datura. At this critical moment, the sword puppet once again blocked in front of Yi Qinfeng. It used its body to block this destructive fist for Yi Qinfeng, but its body was sent flying by the Black God, and Yi Qinfeng took advantage of the time when the sword puppet was blocking. He wielded the several 100,000 gene halberd and erupted with a force of 90 million gene. He ruthlessly slashed down, aiming for the Black God Ant's head. Boom! A loud sound rang out from the Black God Ant's head as the Sky Piercer halberd smashed onto its head. Immediately after, a strong rebounding force passed through the Sky Piercer halberd and into Yi Qinfeng's arm, causing his arm to go numb. So hard! Yi Qinfeng didn't expect the Black God Ant's head to be so hard. His full strength attack with the halberd not only didn't shatter its head, but also caused his arm to feel numb. Die! Relying on its unparalleled strength to block the halberd's attack, the Black God Ant let out a ferocious roar. Rolling demonic energy poured into its right fist, and it punched towards Yi Qinfeng's chest. Sword steps. Yi Qinfeng ignored the Black God Ant's weak punch and immediately used the sword steps to dodge. But the moment he dodged, he clearly felt the Black God Ant's body explode with a shocking demonic energy. It formed a powerful spatial ripple that impacted his body, forcefully interrupting his thoughts of dodging. Golden body arts. With his dodging interrupted, Yi Qinfeng, who couldn't dodge, immediately used the golden body arts. A layer of powerful defensive golden light condensed on the surface of his body, increasing his physical defense to the level of a mid-grade Dao artifact. Boom! With a loud bang, the Black God Ant's fist, which contained the power of destruction, ruthlessly smashed into Yi Qinfeng's chest. The fist shattered the defensive golden light, broke through his body's defenses, and sent him flying. PFFF. Although Yi Qinfeng relied on his physical body that surpassed a mid-grade Dao artifact to block this fatal blow, his sternum was still shattered by the domineering force. Large amounts of blood spurted out from his mouth, and his entire body landed heavily on the ground. Well, he's not dead. The black god ant revealed a trace of surprise when it saw that Yi Qinfeng didn't die from its frontal attack and that his chest wasn't penetrated. But at this moment, it had no time to care about Yi Qinfeng. Its body flashed, and it rushed towards Xia Wendy, wanting to stop her from plucking the death mandara. True dragon transformation. In order to fulfill his promise, Yi Qinfeng didn't care about the injuries on his body. He ignited his dragon heart and used his strongest mystic ability. He transformed into a terrifying true dragon, twisted his huge body, and attacked the black god ant. At the same time, the sword spirit puppet that had just been sent flying also flew over at an extremely fast speed. It used its body to control its sword and slash towards the black god ant. Heavens fall and earth's rend. The black god ant roared, and a shocking demonic energy burst out, shattering the void in front of it. It shattered the attacks launched by Yi Qinfeng and the sword puppet and bombarded Yi Qinfeng. At the critical moment, the sword puppet blocked in front of Yi Qinfeng. It exhausted all its strength and blocked the fatal attack launched by the black god ant. However, the power of the black god ant's attack was too terrifying. Yi Qinfeng was still affected by the aftershock, and his entire body was sent flying. Just as Yi Qinfeng was seriously injured and facing the threat of death, Xia Wendy successfully plucked the death mandara. Universe realm, store. After Xia Wendy successfully plucked the death mandara, Yi Qinfeng didn't hesitate. He controlled the universe realm and teleported himself and Xia Wendy into it to hide. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 876. Huff, huff, I finally succeeded. The badly injured Yi Qinfeng lay heavily on the ground of the universe realm. He panted heavily and said with lingering fear, "If I was a few breaths later, you and I would have died at the hands of the black god ant. Yi Qinfeng, thank you. Thank you for helping me pick the death datura." Xia Wendy looked at Yi Qinfeng, who was barely alive because of her, and thanked him from the bottom of her heart. "This is what I promised you. I will naturally do my best." Yi Qinfeng forced himself to sit up. He looked at the excited Xia Wendy and slowly said, "Okay, hurry up and refine this death datura. Otherwise, it will affect its own spirituality. I also need to heal. Once I recover, I will think of a way to leave this place." Although the universe realm's defense was strong, Yi Qinfeng couldn't control it. Therefore, if he wanted to leave, he would have to face the terrifying black god ant head-on. "Okay," Xia Dai nodded. She took out the death datura, the most precious plant in the ancient medicinal garden, and sat next to the withered path understanding tree. She spat out a ball of life flame, which melted the death datura's most spiritual blood flower and several withered path understanding tree branches. Then she sucked the refined spirit liquid and Tao into her mouth and quickly refined them. Soon, a vast and boundless Tao intent gushed out from Xia Wendy's body. This Tao intent was so strong that it woke up Yi Qinfeng, who was in the middle of healing, and the King of Massacre, who was in the middle of cultivating. What a terrifying Tao intent! What secret is this girl hiding in her body? Why would such a terrifying Tao intent appear? The King of Massacre looked at Xia Wendy, who had merged with the entire death datura. Her body was surging with the power of death, and a large number of Tao runes appeared on her body. Big Brother Qingfeng, do you think Big Sister Xiao's physique is the legendary Xiantian Tao body? The spirit fish, who had awakened a large amount of inherited memories, blinked her large eyes and looked at Xia Wendy, who was bathed in Tao runes and death intent. Born Taoism aptitude. Yi Qinfeng's eyes widened as he quickly searched through the memories in the God-Eater's mind. He found that Xia Wendy's physical characteristics were basically consistent with the born Taoism aptitude. The born Taoism aptitude was one of the strongest physiques in the universe. It was born from the Great Path, and no one could compare to its affinity and fusion with the will of the Great Path. A fully formed born Taoism aptitude could transform one's body into the Great Path, change the path of the Great Path, and destroy the heavens and the world. It could be said that as long as Xia Wendy didn't die early, she would definitely step onto the peak of the martial path. I've always been curious about how she, who has a severed pulse constitution, managed to cultivate to the level 3 combat beast emperor realm. It turns out that she's not just a severed pulse constitution, but also a born Taoism aptitude. She used the innate power of the Taoism aptitude to forcefully connect her severed pulse, creating a miracle that defied the heavens. Yi Qinfeng came to a sudden understanding, and he knew why Xia Wendy had cultivated her Tao insight to the 9th level at such a young age. Roar, roar, roar. Just as Yi Qinfeng and the others were shocked by Xia Wendy's heaven-defying physique, a series of painful roars suddenly sounded from Xia Wendy's body, and waves of chaotic soul power spread out from her body. Along with the appearance of this soul power, Xia Wendy seemed to be in extreme pain, and her slender body trembled. Death Mandara, death extermination. Xia Wendy took a deep breath and endured the intense pain in her body, using the power of the Death Mandara to exterminate the other secret hidden in her body, a mysterious soul hidden in her body. Junior, if you kill me, the power I left in your body will be completely out of control, and you will die. A violent voice sounded from Xia Wendy's body as it threatened. However, Xia Wendy ignored it and insisted on controlling the power of the Death Mandara to exterminate it. In the end, under the powerful power of the Death Mandara, the sound of pain in her body became weaker and weaker, and finally disappeared completely. Bang! Xia Dai used the Death Datura to deal with the hidden threat in her body. She immediately unleashed a powerful force, shattering the extremely tough path-understanding tree. It turned into Tao intent that filled the sky and surged into her body like rivers flowing into the sea. When Xia Wendy, the Death Mandara, and the Epiphany tree completely fused, she felt the aura of heavenly tribulation. She opened her eyes and said, "Yi Qinfeng, my heavenly tribulation is about to descend. Hurry, and let me go out to face it." "Go out." Yi Qinfeng raised his eyebrows and said, "Isn't it too dangerous for you to go out now? With that black god ant's strength, it can easily kill you." "Don't worry, it can't kill me." After fusing with 2 divine items and resolving the hidden thread in her body, Xia Wendy's strength had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. She was fearless. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and said, "All right then, if you are in danger, I will teleport you back in." With that, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy both teleported out of the universe realm. "You guys are finally out." Seeing the sudden appearance of Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy, the black god ant, which had been searching for their whereabouts, was instantly enraged. Rolling demonic energy exploded from its huge body, and like a surging tide, it attacked the 2 of them. "Yi Qinfeng, get out of the way and leave it to me." Xia Wendy didn't dodge when the terrifying demonic energy attacked. She quickly stood in front of Yi Qinfeng and released the mysterious energy hidden in her body that was showing signs of going out of control. She sublimated her comprehension of the star Tao intent and death Tao intent and condensed 2 Tao diagrams that blasted out. Boom, boom. The 2 Tao diagrams collided with the terrifying demonic energy, forming a boundless wave. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions and shattered the entire forbidden space. When Xia Wendy relied on the mysterious energy hidden in her body to resist the demonic energy released by the black god ant. The surging dark clouds were like a surging tide that surged over from all directions. The sky that was shining brightly earlier instantly darkened. Gusts of black wind suffused out from the dark clouds and swept through the entire ancient medicinal garden, causing a large number of ripples to appear on the restrictions within the ancient medicinal garden. Yi Chen-feng, quickly get away from me, so as to avoid being affected by my heavenly punishment. Xia Wendy, whose entire body was suffused with a mysterious energy, transmitted her voice when she sensed that her heavenly punishment was about to descend. All right, be careful. Yi Chen-feng nodded and executed the sword steps to continuously dodge as he flew towards the edge of the ancient restriction. Die! The black god ant revealed a serious expression as it instantly locked onto Yi Chen-feng's movement path and blasted out a punch at him, wanting to kill him. However, Yi Chen-feng's reaction was faster. When he dodged to the edge of the ancient restriction, he immediately hid within the universe realm, causing the destructive punch of the black god ant to miss. Heavenly punishment come. Xia Wendy released all the energy in her body and allowed the mysterious energy to erupt out of control. At the edge of life and death, she welcomed the most terrifying heavenly punishment in her life. Feeling the increasing energy in Xia Wendy's body, the tribulation clouds in the sky quickly revolved. The terrifying energy twisted the heaven and earth, causing the ancient restriction that Xia Wendy was in to suffer a huge pressure. The black god and also sensed a thick sense of danger. If it couldn't quickly leave Xia Wendy's tribulation area with the black god ant's low-grade Saint Beast level, it would probably suffer a baptism of heavenly punishment that was even more terrifying than Xia Wendy's. Just as the black god ant wanted to tear open the ancient restriction and leave Xia Wendy's tribulation area, Xia Wendy's sharp gaze locked onto it. In the next moment, Xia Wendy's feet flashed as she quickly approached the black god ant. She didn't want to give the black god ant a chance to escape. She wanted to borrow the might of the heavenly punishment to heavily injure the black god ant and forcefully subdue it. P.S. Post a picture of Lady Xia on the weekend. She is still disfigured, so I won't post it. 1 day later. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 877. Human, your ancestor and I are best friends. Are you going to kill me? Sensing that Xia Wendy's heavenly punishment was about to descend, the black god ant panicked and shouted at her, "Acknowledge me as your master, and I'll spare your life." Xia Wendy, who was bathed in Tao intent and withstanding the surging energy in her body, said with no room for resistance, "Impossible. I will never acknowledge you as my master." The black god ant was extremely proud. It was already unwilling to be subdued by the Star Emperor back then, let alone Xia Wendy, who was a level 3 battle beast emperor. It rejected her without even thinking. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being merciless. Xia Wendy said without a trace of emotion. The Tao intent she released completely locked onto the black god ant, leaving it nowhere to hide. "Junior, you better not force me. Otherwise, we'll all die together." The black god ant threatened loudly. "Sure, then let's see who will have the last laugh." "Xia," Wendy said fearlessly. "Go to hell." Sensing Xia Wendy's determination to subdue it, the black god ant was completely enraged. It quickly transformed into its most powerful battle form and attacked Xia Wendy with a burst of shocking demonic energy. It wanted to kill her before the heavenly punishment descended. Star Tao diagram. Death Tao diagram break. The destructive demonic energy released by the black god and attacked. Xia Wendy used the mysterious energy in her body to form 2 Tao diagrams. With endless Tao intent, She blocked the demonic energy released by the black god ant. Then, Xia Wendy controlled the two Tao diagrams to fuse together. Like a mountain, they smashed towards the black god ant, forcefully smashing it to the ground from midair. Just as Xia Wendy used the mysterious energy to suppress the black god ant, a black sun appeared in the rolling tribulation clouds. It released rolling killing intent and tore apart the void. In the next moment, for bolts of lightning and fire punishment surged out from the black sun. They were like numerous twisting long dragons that shattered the ancient restrictions and blasted toward Xia Wendy and the black divine ant, whose expression changed drastically, annihilating heavenly punishment. This Xiao Dai is indeed a peerless monster. She actually attracted such a terrifying heavenly punishment. I wonder if she can safely pass through it. After leaving the universe realm and appearing in the safe zone, Yi Qinfeng saw Xia Dai's heavenly punishment phenomenon and immediately recognized it as one of the phenomena recorded in the God Eater's mind. Sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Junior, hurry up and let me leave. Otherwise, I'll make you pay a terrible price. As the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment descended, the black god ant realized that 3 of the 4 lightning fire heavenly punishments had locked onto him. Smelling the thick threat of death, he immediately shouted at Xia Wendy. However, Xia Wendy ignored its threat and followed the black god ant like a shadow, making it unable to leave its tribulation area. Boom, boom, boom. The ancient seal was completely shattered. The terrifying lightning and fire punishment ruthlessly bombarded Xia Wendy and the black god ant's bodies, blasting them both into the ground, crazily destroying their bodies. However, Xia Pattern Butterfly was only attacked by one of the dual lightning and fire punishments. The pressure she was under was far less than the black god ant, who was being baptized by the 3 dual lightning and fire punishments. 2 great Tao diagrams to protect my body. After being baptized by the terrifying dual lightning and fire punishments, Xia Wendy forced herself to sit up in the pit. She controlled the star Tao diagram and the death Tao diagram to protect her body. She controlled her born Tao aptitude to crazily absorb the Tao intent contained in the dual lightning and fire punishments, refining the mysterious energy and powerful Tao intent that had gone out of control in her body. She was trying to break through to the 4th grade combat beast emperor realm. After fusing with the death datura and the path understanding tree, the Tao intent contained in Xia Wendy's body had reached an extremely terrifying level. Now that she was being baptized by the heavenly punishment, the mysterious energy was also restrained. Borrowing the power of the heavenly punishment, Xia Wendy continuously refined the surging energy and Tao intent in her body. Her body was undergoing a metamorphosis. As time passed, the terrifying dual lightning and fire punishments became more and more powerful. However, Xia Wendy, who had many secrets hidden in her body, relied on her extraordinary means to forcefully withstand it. However, the black god ant, who was receiving the baptism of the stronger heavenly punishment, was under immense pressure. If its body wasn't strong enough to withstand the baptism of the 3 dual lightning and fire punishments, it would have been severely injured. Heaven falls and earth rends. Enduring the baptism of the 3 dual lightning and fire punishments, the frenzied black god ant continued to use powerful killing moves. Rolling demonic power shattered the void and bombarded Xia Wendy, wanting to kill her. When the black god ant launched its killing move, Xia Wendy's body flashed slightly, like a graceful swan. She dodged the demonic power that shattered the void. At this time, the annihilating heavenly punishment split into 4 bright, red, heavenly punishment Tao diagrams. 1 of them bombarded Xia Wendy, and 3 of them bombarded the black god ant, whose expression changed drastically. The 3 Tao diagrams of heavenly punishment smashed down. The black god ant revealed a trace of panic. It had to give up on the idea of killing Xia Wendy and mobilize its strongest demonic power to resist. Boom, boom, boom. Xia Wendy relied on the star Tao diagrams. When the death Tao diagrams blocked the destructive attack of the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams, she controlled the born Taoism aptitude to devour the vast will of the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams. She continued to refine the mysterious energy and transform her body. Xia, Wendy blocked the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams, but the black god ant who had endured an even stronger attack was in a difficult situation. The rolling demonic power it released shattered after resisting for more than 10 breaths of time, and its strong body, under the attack of the 3 heavenly punishment Tao diagrams, began to crack. Large amounts of blood flowed out from the cracks. As Xia Wendy and the black god ant resisted the baptism of the annihilating heavenly punishment with all their might, Yi Qinfeng sat cross-legged outside the tribulation area. He raised the God-Eater brain's deduction speed to the peak. He deduced the Tao patterns that filled the void and sublimated his own understanding of the will of the Tao. Junior, as long as you are willing to let me go, I can promise to help you 3 times in the future. As its injuries worsened, the black god ant became timid. It bargained with Xia Wendy, begging her to let it go. Black god ant, you only have 2 choices. You can choose to submit to me or die. Hearing the black god ant's conditions, Xia Wendy, who was devouring the Tao diagrams, was unmoved. She coldly responded. You, the black god ant, was angered to the point of spitting out blood. It never imagined that it would be forced into such a miserable state by a junior. As the sound transmissions continued, the power of the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams rose exponentially, causing the pressure they had to withstand to increase. In particular, the black god ant's strong body was covered with hundreds of cracks, faintly showing signs of collapsing. However, the arrogant black god ant still didn't yield. It didn't hesitate to burn its monster core, increasing its strength to the greatest extent possible. It withstood the attacks of the 3 heavenly punishment Tao diagrams and fought with everything it had. Time slowly passed. The 2 withstood the baptism of the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams for over 6 hours. Finally, the 4 heavenly punishment Tao diagrams shattered. But the moment the heavenly punishment Tao diagrams shattered, the most terrifying and final heavenly punishment of the annihilating heavenly punishment came crashing down. It was like a sun that had fallen into the mortal world, carrying with it a will to annihilate everything. It shattered the space for several miles and bombarded Xia Wendy and the black god ant Bang. In just a single strike, the black god ant, who had withstood almost 80% of the attack, was severely wounded. As for Xia Wendy, who was controlling the 2 Tao diagrams to defend herself, she was also heavily wounded. Her meridians were damaged, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Under the attack of the annihilating heavenly punishment, Xia Wendy and the black god ant were both severely wounded and in danger. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Collect button below to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 878. Junior, let me go quickly. I can't hold on for much longer. The black god ant, who was on the verge of collapsing, was frightened. He shouted at Xia Wendy, who was following him like a shadow. I said, submit to me or die. Xia Wendy, who was bathed in the destructive heavenly punishment, remained unmoved and coldly said, You really want to die with me? The black god ant didn't expect Xia Wendy to be a lunatic. In order to subdue him, she was willing to give up her life. A trace of despair appeared in his heart as he roared. Humph. The one who dies in the end will definitely not be me. Xia, Wendy coldly said. She continued to close the distance between her and the black god ant, guiding the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment to attack it. I submit. I choose to submit. The black god ant didn't want to die. Under the threat of death, he was in despair and had no choice but to submit. Open your soul, see. Don't resist. Let me put an imprint in your soul sea. Xia Wendy ordered. On the verge of death, the black god Ant lowered his noble head. He had no choice but to take the risk and open his soul sea. Puff, puff, puff. The moment the black god Ant opened his soul sea, Xia Wendy continuously spat out several mouthfuls of essence blood. They condensed into a soul blood imprint and fused into the black god Ant soul sea, forcibly making it recognize her as its master. In the next moment, Xia Wendy brought along the terrifying sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment, and distanced herself from the severely injured black god Ant Jr. Don't think that you can subdue me. Once you die in the sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment, I will be free again. The black god Ant, whose body was charred black, looked at Xia Wendy, who was being swallowed by the sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment. He didn't believe that she could survive such a terrifying heavenly punishment. Xia Wendy's situation was just as dangerous as the black god Ant thought. Her clothes made with special materials had turned into ashes. Her body, which was surging with mysterious power, was filled with cracks. She was about to die from the terrifying sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment. Star Tao diagram. Death Tao diagram protect. In this dangerous situation, Xia Wendy was surprisingly calm. She controlled the two Tao diagrams and sent them into her body, protecting her heart and organs. She allowed the power of annihilating heavenly punishment to enter her body. Puff, puff, puff. As the power of the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment entered her body, Xia Wendy's weak meridians were immediately torn apart. A large amount of blood, flesh, and bones turned into ashes. However, at this time, Xia Wendy was doing her best to enter a miraculous state. It was as if she didn't feel the pain of her body being torn apart. She allowed the power of the annihilating heavenly punishment to crush her body. Junior, you really are finished. The heavily injured black god Ant watched as Xia Wendy's body continued to shatter. A cold smile appeared on his face. He lay on the ground, which was full of cracks. Using the power of the Yao core, he healed his injuries and waited for Xia Wendy to be killed by the annihilating heavenly punishment. What a powerful life force! Just how many secrets are hidden within Xia Wendy's body? Although Yi Qinfeng was far weaker than the black god Ant, the God-Eater brain senses were far superior. Under the God-Eater brain senses, Yi Qinfeng could feel a vigorous life force in Xia Wendy's broken body. There was no sign of her dying. After about an hour, when Xia Wendy's broken body was about to completely shatter, Xia Wendy broke through the bottleneck of her realm, breaking through to rank for Battle Beast Emperor realm. After breaking through, Xia Wendy's strength increased tremendously. She immediately controlled the life force and mysterious power hidden in her body to repair her broken body. Then, she continued to receive the baptism of the annihilating heavenly punishment, refining the mysterious power in her body. Breakthrough. She actually broke through when her body was almost destroyed. Could it be that she really has a chance to survive this annihilating heavenly punishment? Sensing the situation of Xia Wendy's body, the black god Ant's heart was in turmoil. He was very shocked by Xia Wendy's heaven-defying means and luck. However, Yi Qinfeng revealed a faint smile. If Xia Wendy could reverse her fate and survive this annihilating heavenly punishment, her strength would increase to an extremely terrifying level. At that time, when he was dealing with Xingluo Sky City, she would be a great help to him. Boom, boom, boom. The annihilating heavenly punishment bombarded Xia Wendy for a day and a night, but there was no sign of it weakening. Xia Wendy, who was bathing in the annihilating heavenly punishment and using the power of the annihilating heavenly punishment to refine the mysterious power, was once again split open by the boundless annihilating heavenly punishment. After her body was split open, Xia Wendy continued to control the two Tao diagrams to merge into her body, protecting her heart and internal organs. She allowed the annihilating heavenly punishment to continue bombarding her body, refining the mysterious power at the deepest level. So fast. It has only been a day, and Xia Wendy is on the verge of a breakthrough again. Could it be that she is going to use this annihilating heavenly punishment to break through 2 realms? Although Xia Wendy's body was once again shattered, Yi Qinfeng felt that her strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. There were faint signs that she was going to break through to rank 5 Battle Beast Emperor. This descendant of Astro Emperor is really not simple. Not only does she have born Tao aptitude, but her body also hides many secrets. If she is allowed to survive the annihilating heavenly punishment, her future achievements will probably surpass her ancestor, Astro Emperor. After witnessing the scene of Xia Wendy surviving the annihilating heavenly punishment, the Black God Ant was deeply shocked. It felt that it was not impossible to accept her as its master. The shattering of her body was getting worse and worse. Xia Wendy, who had entered a mysterious state, did not care. She allowed the annihilating heavenly punishment to enter her body like a tide, carrying out the most fundamental and most thorough refinement and transformation of her body. Xia Wendy's action was extremely risky. If she was not careful, she could be doomed eternally. Even Yi Qinfeng was worried for her. However, between life and death, Xia Wendy was not afraid at all. She controlled the 2 Tao diagrams to protect her heart and internal organs, allowing the annihilating heavenly punishment to bombard her. After more than half a day, the Star Tao diagram and the Death Tao diagram also showed cracks under the annihilating heavenly punishment. After nearly 2 days of baptism, with the help of the terrifying annihilating heavenly punishment, Xia Wendy finally refined the mysterious power and life force hidden in her body. She started to break through to rank 5 Battle Beast Emperor with all her strength. The annihilating heavenly punishment was also nearing its end. It gathered the last of its power and launched the most fatal attack on Xia Wendy. The annihilating heavenly punishment descended like a scorching sun, smashing into her body. Boom! A deafening sound of thunder resounded between heaven and earth. The final power of the annihilating heavenly punishment swallowed Xia Wendy in an instant. The chaotic void collapsed. Dead. She still did not survive the annihilating heavenly punishment. Looking at the collapsed space, the Black God Ant felt that Xia Wendy's aura had suddenly disappeared. It was as if she had fallen in the annihilating heavenly punishment. Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to calculate at high speed. He felt that Xia Wendy's aura was very difficult to detect. His whole heart tightened. However, in the next moment, this aura that seemed like it could disappear at any time revealed a powerful life force. It was as if a withered tree had come back to life. This Xia Wendy is indeed not simple. She survived the annihilating heavenly punishment in a desperate situation. Feeling that Xia Wendy was safe and sound, Yi Qinfeng let out a long sigh of relief and revealed a faint smile. After this transformation, I am afraid that I am far from being her opponent. Slowly, the annihilating heavenly punishment dispersed. The bright and beautiful sun shone down once again, bathed in the light of Tao intent. When the reborn Xia Wendy was trying to break through to rank 5 Battle Beast Emperor with all her strength, a black sword ray suddenly streaked across the sky. A sword ray that was several times faster than the speed of light appeared without any warning. It left a deep sword mark in the void and pierced towards Xia Wendy. It wanted to take advantage of the fact that she was at her weakest and was trying to break through the bottleneck to pierce through her heart and kill her. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 879. Sword Steps. At the critical moment, Yi Qinfeng appeared in midair with sword steps, and he was like a ray of light that blocked this lethal strike for Xia Wendy. He relied on the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus to help Xia Wendy block this lethal strike. Life and Death Tao Insight, heaven, and earth Tao insight. 5 Tao insights. Subsequently, the 3 Tao insights gushed out and successively bombarded the black figure that tore through the sky and approached with extreme speed. They relied on absolute offensive strength to forcefully interrupt his continuous attacks. Quickly disperse the light of Tao insight on the surface of your body. I'll send you into the universe mirror. Yi Qinfeng shouted loudly toward Xia Wendy, who was bathed in the light of Tao insight and emanated wanton divine light. Wait a moment. Xia Wendy's weak voice that carried a trace of panic sounded out from within the light of Tao insight. What are you waiting for? Yi Qinfeng had seen clearly since long ago that the person that launched the lethal strike and launched the sneak attack on Xia Wendy was precisely the king of assassins of Xingluo Sky City. His strength was extremely terrifying, and he directly broken through the light of Tao insight before Yi Qinfeng launched his shocking killing move. Ah! Along with Xia Wendy emitting a sharp cry that seemed to be shy, panicked, and furious, Yi Qinfeng carried Xia Wendy's naked body and entered the universe mirror. Yi Qinfeng, you're grabbing me. Let go of your filthy hand. I'll kill you. When the naked Xia Wendy discovered that Yi Qinfeng's large hand was tightly grabbing her small but perfectly round and perky breasts, an intoxicating blush immediately appeared on her delicate face. She roared in anger out of embarrassment. What are you trying to do? I didn't do it on purpose. When he felt the soft and numb feeling that came from his palm and saw the pink color that appeared on the surface of Xia Wendy's new skin, Yi Qinfeng's right hand swiftly moved away as if it had been electrocuted, and he spoke with slight embarrassment. Xia Wendy, the scar on your face has disappeared. Right when Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy's flushed and furious face, he unexpectedly noticed that the centipede scar that destroyed her peerlessly beautiful face had vanished, and it was replaced by a face that was beautiful to the point of suffocating. You're still looking? Do you believe that I won't dig out your eyeballs after I recover my strength? Xia Wendy covered her chest with her hands. She looked at Yi Qinfeng, who was staring at her, and warned him coquettishly. All right, I'll go out and take revenge for you. I won't disturb your breakthrough to level 5, Beast Emperor. Upon seeing Xia Wendy's fiery eyes, Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to look at her any longer. He immediately left the universe realm and appeared outside. He summoned the Emperor Heaven Sword and attacked the King of Killers that was searching for them. It really is you. Although Yi Qinfeng had controlled the illusion Tao, intent to change his appearance, the King of Assassins still recognized the Emperor's Sky Sword and Yi Qinfeng's identity. Dragon Bloodline Ignition, Beast Soul Form. The King of Assassins' strength was extremely terrifying. In order to suppress him, Yi Qinfeng instantly transformed into his beast soul form and increased his soul power by 7 times. He attacked the King of Assassins with his sword faster than before, shadowless evading kill. As Yi Qinfeng attacked with extreme speed, the King of Assassins immediately dodged into the trajectory of his speed. He executed his unfathomable assassination techniques and destroyed the sword shadows that were coming at him at an astonishing speed. He clashed with Yi Qinfeng head-on. The two of them fought with speed and strength. Streaks of extremely sharp sword light clashed in midair and exploded into beautiful sword shadows that were like raging waves that swept out in all directions. Sky demon chains seal the void. The two of them fought fiercely and didn't give in to each other. Numerous black chains that were as thick as an arm broke out of Yi Qinfeng's body and sealed the space around the King of Assassins. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng unleashed the 4 great offensive Tao intents to the extreme and fused them into the Emperor's Sky Sword. He awakened the Emperor's Sky Sword's spirit and executed his killer move on the King of Assassins. Emperor startling heaven slash. As the sword slashed down, it was earth-shattering. The void changed color as the Emperor's Sky Sword that was fused with the 4 great Tao intents slashed open the void and slashed towards the King of Assassins. Sky Killing Strike. Facing Yi Qinfeng's killer move, the king of assassins didn't dodge. He quickly transformed into his beast soul form and fused with the assassination sword in hhis hand. He left behind a deep sword scar in midair and pierced the Emperor's startling heaven slash that was coming at him with extreme sharpness. As the two great Dao skills clashed intensely, ear-piercing explosions could be heard. In the surroundings of the two great Dao skills, the void was constantly being torn apart by the sword shadows. Countless rocks burst out and shattered. After clashing head-on, Yi Qinfeng and the King of Assassins continued to execute their killer moves on each other. For a moment, all the sounds in the world were engulfed. The collision between the two of them created a terrifying destructive force that impacted both of their bodies. Sword Soul, relying on his powerful physical body to withstand the impact that could topple mountains and overturn seas, Yi Qinfeng fused his Sword Soul into the Emperor's celestial sword. His sword tore apart the violent energy and slashed toward the King of Assassins, who was escaping at high speed. Bang! As the two of their attacks clashed, the sword soul exploded with a shocking attacking force and forcefully repelled the assassination sword in the King of Assassins' hand. The King of Assassins' chest was completely exposed in front of Yi Qinfeng. Break for me! The 4 Dao intents in Yi Qinfeng's body exploded and turned into a square seal that was formed by a large number of Dao patterns and had a force of 15 million kilograms. It had an unparalleled destructive force and ruthlessly smashed onto the King of Assassins' chest. PFFF! After receiving the attack head-on, the King of Assassins' defense was immediately shattered. His chest was directly injured by the Dao seal and caved in. Large amounts of blood spurted out from his mouth. However, when the King of Assassins spurted out blood, the drops of blood turned into sharp blood swords and attacked Yi Qinfeng intensively, forcefully interrupting his continuous attacks. Myriad killer shadows. When Yi Qinfeng spat out his sword Dao pattern to block off the dozens of blood swords, the King of Assassins didn't care about his injuries and executed his killer move. His body split into a large number of killer shadows and surrounded Yi Qinfeng in different forms and launched a fatal attack at him. Golden Body Technique. When facing the killer intent sword shadows that were slashing at him from all directions, Yi Qinfeng immediately executed the Golden Body Technique. The surface of his steel-like body was covered with a layer of defensive golden light, which increased his body's defense and allowed him to withstand the deadly attacks of the myriad killer shadows. Pong! 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 True Dragon Transformation. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng's physical defense was being destroyed by the killer move executed by the King of Assassins, he quickly merged with the power of the dragon heart and increased the power of the dragon to the peak. He turned into a blood dragon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The blood dragon's prowess shook the sky as it rumbled in the void and tore apart the layers of Pong. Pong! 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 After being targeted by Yi Qinfeng's true dragon transformation, the King of Assassins didn't care about the injuries on his body. He burned his blood essence and continuously executed his killer moves to weaken the True Dragon Transformation's attack. However, the True Dragon Transformation's attack speed was too fast. In the blink of an eye, the True Dragon Transformation shattered all his killer moves and blasted on the life-saving shield that he hurriedly used. Boom! The life-saving shield in front of the King of Assassins was shattered. The terrifying True Dragon Transformation's remaining power bombarded his body like a tidal wave and sent him flying. A large amount of blood gushed out from his body. After using his secret technique to severely injure the King of Assassins, Yi Qinfeng wanted to follow up with another attack. However, the King of Assassins' reaction was extremely fast. Relying on his unpredictable speed, he escaped into a special speed track and got rid of Yi Qinfeng's pursuit. In the end, the heavily injured King of Assassins used the severely damaged ancient restriction in the ancient medicinal garden to get rid of Yi Qinfeng's pursuit. He escaped and disappeared without a trace. Today, I will post a picture of Xia Wendai. She is a very important person. Add her WeChat account to your friends. YLTY83 mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 880. Inside the Universe Mirror. Watermark advertisement. Test watermark advertisement test. Huff, huff. A powerful suction force was emitted from Xia Wendy's body, causing the dense spirit chi in the universe mirror to gather from all directions. A powerful spirit chi whirlpool was formed above her head, crazily entering her body, increasing her strength and breaking through to the level 5 combat beast emperor realm. As more and more spirit chi accumulated in Xia Wendy's body, she received the baptism of the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Her meridians were all opened up, and with enough spirit chi, she finally broke through the bottleneck, breaking through to the level 5 combat beast emperor realm. After breaking through, Xia Wendy woke up from her cultivation. When she saw Yi Qinfeng not far away, the corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a thought-provoking smile. Xia Wendy, I didn't expect you to be hiding so many secrets. Not only did you survive the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, you also continuously broke through to the level 5 combat beast emperor realm. Looking at the beautiful Xia Wendy, who was wearing a black robe and had regained her true appearance, Yi Qinfeng slowly walked over and said, "What? Are you interested in the secrets on my body?" Xia Wendy revealed a charming smile, looking at Yi Qinfeng, and asked, as if she had completely forgotten the scene that made her go crazy, "Yes, I am indeed interested in the secrets on your body. I really want to know the origin of the mysterious voice in your body. I wonder if you are willing to tell me?" Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, "It's not that I can't tell you, but you must defeat me. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it." Xia Wendy's beautiful big eyes revealed a trace of craftiness as she said, "Defeat you?" Yi Qinfeng instantly understood Xia Wendy's meaning. He knew that she was still brooding over the previous matter and wanted to use the competition to teach him a lesson. "What? You don't dare?" Xia Wendy looked provocatively at the silent Yi Qinfeng and asked with malicious intentions, "Xia Wendy, you also know that there are many dangers outside. If we were to compete at this time, it would be too dangerous." Yi Qinfeng said with some misgivings, "Why do we have to compete outside? Can't we compete here? No one can disturb us here." Xia Wendy directly blocked Yi Qinfeng's excuse and unforgivingly said, "This." Yi Qinfeng hesitated. "Yi Qinfeng, are you a man or not? Why are you being so wishy-washy?" Xia Wendy curled her lips, deliberately provoking him. "Xia Wendy, I can compete with you. However, I want to add on a condition." Yi Qinfeng clenched his teeth as if he had made an important decision. He looked straight into Xia Wendy's beautiful eyes and said, "What conditions?" Xia Wendai asked with a smile as beautiful as a flower. "If I defeat you, not only do you have to tell me your secrets, you also have to promise me 3 things," Yi Qinfeng said. "No problem. But in a fair fight, if you lose to me, you have to promise to do 3 things for me and acknowledge me as your elder sister." After breaking through to the level 5 Beast Emperor realm, Xia Wendy was full of confidence in her own strength. She agreed without hesitation and added her own conditions. "All right." Yi Qinfeng clenched his teeth and agreed. In order to prevent people from going back on their words after losing before the competition, we have to swear an oath to the heavens. Xia Wendy revealed a mischievous smile and suggested, as if the scales of victory were already tilted towards her, "Xia Wendy, it seems like after breaking through to the level 5 Beast Emperor realm, you are very confident in your own strength," Yi Qinfeng said in a low voice as he looked at Xia Wendy, who was rubbing her palms together and harboring evil intentions. Yi Qinfeng, actually, you don't have to be so depressed. With your methods, you also have a chance of defeating me. Xiao Wendy was afraid that Yi Qinfeng would return, so she hurriedly said, "All right, then let's swear an oath to the heavens." Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath, and both he and Xiao Wendy swore an oath to the heavens. Third Uncle Fu, why do I feel that the one being schemed against is not Brother Qingfeng, but Sister Xia? A Lingyu who came over to watch transmitted her voice. I also have the same feeling. That girl is going to be unlucky. Fu Qingshan understood Yi Qinfeng quite well. He knew that Yi Qinfeng would never do things that he was not confident in. Although it seemed like Yi Qinfeng was forced into a corner by Xiao Wendy, everything was actually within his calculations. Third Uncle Fu, the three of you can be our witnesses. After swearing an oath to the heavens, Yi Qinfeng shouted towards Fu Qingshan and the other two. All right. Fu Qingshan nodded and said, Yi Qinfeng, you dare to offend this lady again and again. I will definitely beat you up so badly that even your mother will not be able to recognize you. Hearing Yi Qinfeng's shout, Xiao Wendy could not help but laugh. She gritted her cute little canine teeth and said in her heart. However, she did not know that Yi Qinfeng's heart was already blooming with joy. In the universe realm, Yi Qinfeng was the absolute ruler. He could freely use the power of the universe realm's first layer. It could be said that Xia Wendy had fallen into her own trap. Yi Qinfeng, can we compete now? Xia Wendy asked eagerly. Yes, you can attack now. Yi Qinfeng crossed his hands behind his back and said with a relaxed expression. Compared to his hesitant and worried expression just now, it was a stark contrast. Xia Wendy felt that something was not right. However, by using the Sun Destroyer Heavenly Punishment to refine the mysterious energy and life force in her body, she had broken through to a level 5 combat beast emperor. Xia Wendy's strength had increased to a terrifying level. She could definitely kill a level 6 combat beast emperor. Even if Yi Qinfeng had the highest grade holy artifact, the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, she was not afraid. Yi Qinfeng, I'll definitely beat you into a pulp today to vent the hatred in my heart. With that, a light flashed under Xia Wendy's feet. Like a bolt of lightning, she attacked Yi Qinfeng. When she approached Yi Qinfeng, endless starlight poured out from her hot body. It turned into a resplendent starlight net, trying to trap Yi Qinfeng. When the starlight net came, Yi Qinfeng did not take out any weapon, nor did he use any Dao intent or Dao skill. Instead, he gently waved his arm. However, the moment he waved his arm, he fused the power of the universe realm space and directly tore apart the starlight net. What? Seeing the scene of Yi Qinfeng tearing apart the net of starlight, Xia Wendy's eyes widened. A huge wave surged in her heart. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. Although she had only used a small part of her strength, it should not have been broken so easily. The Tao diagram of life and death. Xia Wendy had fused with the Death Datura, the Epiphany tree, and received the baptism of the sun extinguishing tribulation. She had also obtained a great harvest. She had cultivated the Tao intent of life to the 10th level perfection. When she used it with the Tao intent of death, she could condense a terrifying Tao diagram of life and death. As the Tao diagram of life and death appeared, the space in front of Yi Qinfeng was immediately affected. It violently fluctuated, and endless power of life and death poured out from the Tao diagram of life and death, bombarding Yi Qinfeng. Break! Facing the attack of the Tao diagram of life and death, Yi Qinfeng gently pointed a finger. Fusing the power of the universe realm, he tore apart the power of life and death. He pointed at the Tao diagram of life and death. Kachacha! The Tao diagram of life and death could not withstand the power of space in the finger and instantly shattered. This strange scene shocked Xia Wendy so much that her eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. While Xia Wendy was still in shock, Yi Qinfeng suddenly appeared behind her. He swung his right hand, filled with the power of space, and ruthlessly whipped her perky butt. Slap! With a crisp slap, Xia Wendy was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's slap. The tearing pain from her, but was so painful that she almost cried. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Collect button below to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 881. Yi Qinfeng, I'll kill you. Feeling the burning pain from her, but Xia Wendy was like a wild cat whose tail had been stepped on. Her face flushed red, and she let out an uncontrollable roar. She controlled the cracked life and death Tao diagram to attack Yi Qinfeng. As the life and death Tao diagram approached, Yi Qinfeng quickly punched out with a fist that was infused with the power of space, shattering the Tao diagram in one blow. This is impossible. How can your strength be so freakish? Seeing Yi Qinfeng shatter the life and death Tao diagram with a single punch, Xia Wendy's beautiful face was filled with shock. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Xia Wendy, you're not my match. Obediently admit defeat. Looking at the flabbergasted Xia Wendy, Yi Qinfeng revealed a faint smile and spoke with a relaxed expression. Don't even think about it. Xia Wendy took a deep breath and instantly ignited her bloodline power, transforming into her beast soul form. She pushed the Tao of Star and Tao of Life and Death to the limit, condensing two Tao diagrams. With the power to annihilate all, they shot towards Yi Qinfeng. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng was being attacked by the Star Tao diagram and the Life and Death Tao diagram, Yi Qinfeng suddenly moved. It was as if he had teleported, passing through the two Tao diagrams to appear in front of the shocked Xia Wendy. Controlling the power of the universe mirror, he suppressed her body. Then, he used his finger to fiercely flick her forehead. A large red bump immediately appeared, causing her to tear up in pain. This power. Sensing the power of space suppressing her, the intelligent Xia Wendy immediately guessed the reason. She angrily roared, Yi Qinfeng, you despicable villain, you cheated. This isn't your own power at all. You borrowed the power of space to deal with me. Oh, you're not too stupid. You guessed the truth so quickly. Yi Qinfeng faintly smiled and teased, but the competition in the universe mirror seemed to be your idea. You tricked me. After learning the truth, Xia Wendy was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She rubbed the bump on her forehead and said angrily, Xia Wendy, touch your conscience and tell me, was it me who schemed against you? Or was it you who schemed against me? Yi Qinfeng looked at the flustered and exasperated Xia Wendy and slowly said, however, your IQ is too low. You lifted a rock only to smash your own foot. Yi Qinfeng, if you have the guts, fight me fair and square. Hearing Yi Qinfeng say that her intelligence was low, Xia Wen was so angry that her liver trembled. Her eyes were spitting fire as she glared at him and roared, all right, I'll take care of you. When we fight later, I'll let you use one hand and only use your left hand to attack. Yi Qinfeng said with a smile as he put his right hand behind his back. If you have the guts, why don't you borrow the power of space? Xia Wendai felt as if she was about to lose her mind from anger. She roared, no, if I don't borrow the power of space, how can I defeat you? Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said in all seriousness, Yi Qinfeng, you despicable person, you are not a man. Xia Wendy was so angry that her entire body was trembling as she shouted loudly, I'm not a man. Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, could it be that you are? Xia Wendai, okay, Xia Wendai, we are having a competition, not shouting in public. If you don't make a move, then I'll attack. Yi Qinfeng mischievously said, I'll beat your butt into 8 pieces. Xia Wen Dai. Life and Death Dao Diagram. Star Dao Diagram, explode for me. Being suppressed by the power of space in the universe mirror, the furious Xia Wen Dai immediately detonated the 2 Dao diagrams. She forcefully tore apart the turbulent spatial power and launched a fatal attack towards Yi Qinfeng. Heavenly Mountain Dao Talisman, suppress him for me. Xia Wen Dai opened her rosy lips and spat out the Heavenly Mountain Dao Talisman. It carried an endless suppressive force towards Yi Qinfeng. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Yi Qinfeng borrowed the power of space and teleported away from the Heavenly Mountain Dao Talisman. He appeared behind Xia Wendi, who had turned pale with fright. Without waiting for her to dodge, he raised his hand and ruthlessly slapped her perky, but causing her to cry out in pain. The feel of it is quite good. Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wen Dai, who was blushing to her ears and was so angry that her hair was about to stand up straight, and said with endless aftertaste, I'll kill you. Feeling a tingling sensation from her, but Xia Wen Dai was about to collapse. She spared no effort to condense the 2 Dao diagrams to attack Yi Qinfeng. However, in the universe mirror, Yi Qinfeng was the heavens, the ruler. No matter what Xia Wen Dai did, she couldn't harm Yi Qinfeng in the slightest. As for her, but it began to swell under Yi Qinfeng's care. Stop! Stop! She could feel her but growing bigger and bigger. Electric currents were running through her, causing her to go crazy. Her attacks couldn't harm Yi Qinfeng in the slightest. Xia Wen Dai despaired as she sullenly shouted, What? Are you going to admit defeat? Yi Qinfeng asked with a smile as he looked at the rosy, alluring, and trembling Xia Wendi. I admit defeat. Xia Wen Dai, who had suffered a great loss, knew that if she continued to fight, the only one who would suffer would be her. She tightly bit her rosy lips and admitted defeat in humiliation. Since you admit defeat, can you tell me the secret on your body? Yi Qinfeng looked at the sullen Xia Wen Dai and asked with a smile, What do you want to know? Xia Wen Dai angrily glared at Yi Qinfeng, gnashing her teeth as she asked, I want to know the secret of the mysterious life force in your body, as well as that mysterious voice. Yi Qinfeng asked, Fine, I'll tell you. Xia Wendi ground her teeth and said, The powerful life energy in my body was obtained from a transaction with a devil in an inheritance land, and the mysterious voice in my body was emitted by that devil. Devil? Yi Qinfeng raised his eyebrows, revealing a shocked expression. Could it be that you're not looking for the death datura to break through to a higher realm, but rather to borrow the death energy from the death datura to exterminate that devil in your body? That's right. That devil's strength is extremely terrifying. Only the death datura can exterminate it. As for that scar on my face, it was left behind by it. Xia Wen Dai nodded. Then, who left behind the life force in your body? Yi Qinfeng continued to ask. In that inheritance land, besides encountering that devil, I also encountered my master who changed my life. If it weren't for the life force my master left in my body, restraining that devil, perhaps I would have already been possessed by that devil and died. Xia Wen Dai said, Master? Xia Wen Dai, in which inheritance land did you encounter them? Who is your master? Yi Qinfeng curiously asked. Yi Qinfeng, can you let me keep this final secret and not ask any further? Xia Wen Dai bit her lips and spoke with an almost pleading tone. Fine, then I won't ask any further. Looking at Xia Wen Dai's beautiful face, Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, Now, I'll use the bet I won last time. I order you to leave the universe realm and not retaliate against me in any way. You, Xia Wen Dai, this is a bet we made with the heavenly Tao. If you go back on your word, you will suffer a backlash from the heavenly Tao. Looking at the enraged Xia Wen Dai, Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, Moreover, Ling Yu and the others will be our witnesses. Fine, I promise you. In the end, under the threat of the heavenly Tao oath, Xia Wendai clenched her teeth and submitted. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 882. Let's go. The ancient restrictions in the ancient medicinal garden were severely damaged by annihilating sun, heavenly punishment. Let's continue to search for ancient spiritual herbs. Perhaps we will have an unexpected harvest. Yi Chenfeng softly suggested as he looked at Xia Wendy, whose face was flushed red. Xia Wendy was trying her best to suppress the anger in her heart. After speaking, he let Ling Yu and the other two continue to cultivate. He left the universe realm with Xia Wendy and went outside. The moment Xia Wendy appeared, the black god ant, who had basically recovered from its injuries, immediately sensed her presence. It unwillingly came before her. Black god ant, I know you are not willing to accept me as your master. Don't worry, when I ascend to the heaven region one day, I will return your freedom. Xia Wendy, who was wearing a black silk dress that accentuated her enchanting figure and a silver mask, looked at the incomparably powerful black god ant and promised in front of everyone, Master, if you can ascend to the heaven region one day, I hope you can bring me home. Thinking of Xia Wendy's monstrous talent, the black god ant's eyes revealed a trace of expectation as it spoke. If you are sincere in following me, I can bring you to the heaven region. The black god ant had the blood of a divine beast flowing in its body. It had extraordinary strength and was extremely rare in the heaven region. If it was willing to follow, it would be a great help to Xia Wendy. Thank you, Master. The black god ant said gratefully. The trace of unwillingness in its heart also disappeared. Black god ant, do you know where to pick ancient spiritual herbs in this ancient medicinal garden? Yi Chenfeng looked at the tall and sturdy black god ant who had transformed into a human form and was standing beside Xia Wendy and asked, In these hundreds of thousands of years, many experts have entered the ancient medicinal garden to pick ancient spiritual herbs. There are not many ancient spiritual herbs left in the entire ancient medicinal garden. The black god ant said in a deep voice, Let's go. I will bring you to a few places. If there are no ancient spiritual herbs, then the ancient medicinal garden should be empty. The black god ant was very familiar with the ancient medicinal garden. He familiarly led Yi Chenfeng and Xia Wendy to find the ancient spirit herbs. The situation in the ancient medicinal garden was just as the black god ant had said. There were very few ancient spirit herbs in the ancient medicinal garden. The two humans and one beast had practically searched the entire ancient medicinal garden and only found 3 stalks of ancient spirit herbs. However, 2 of these 3 stalks were extremely important to Yi Chenfeng. They were the Inyan ice firegrass that was used to concoct the ultimate emperor Dao pill, and the sword-shaped grass that had been growing for over 200,000 years. As for the heavenly fire jujube tree, although it wasn't of much use to Yi Chenfeng, in the eyes of fire cultivators, it was the most precious spirit treasure, enough for them to be willing to pay a great price for it. Now, I only lack the heavenly Kirin fruit to gather all the ingredients to concoct the ultimate Emperor Dao pill. I wonder if Senior Bai, Senior Jiang, and the rest have found the heavenly Kirin fruit? Yi Chenfeng was preparing to return to Xingluo Heavenly City and make a trip to the Bai family. If the 3 great powers had found the heavenly Kirin fruit, he would start concocting the ultimate Emperor Dao pill to raise Kong Sungchen by Feng and the rest's strength. With that, they would be able to fight against the Xingluo Heavenly City and the True Demon Clan. Master, do you want to subdue the 3 of them and have them follow you? The black god ant looked at the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts that were guarding the ancient spirit herbs and asked, No need. Although the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts were strong, their bloodlines were too low, and their potential to grow was limited. The proud Xia, Wendy did not want them to follow her. Since you are not willing to subdue them, then give them to me. Yi Qinfeng was currently lacking helpers, so he was very interested in the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts, the dual-headed lizard, the dual-tailed fox, and the Pegasus. You know the beast taming technique? Xia Wendy knew how arrogant the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts were. Without the black god ant's intimidation, they would not be willing to be subdued. Of course. Yi Qinfeng nodded. All right, I can give them to you, but I have an additional condition. Xia Wendy said slyly. What condition? Yi Qinfeng furrowed his brow. I want to study the corpse of the heavenly clan with you. Xia Wendy said. All right, but I have an additional condition. In the future, when I attack Xingluo Heavenly City, you must come and help me unconditionally. Yi Qinfeng transmitted his voice to her. Deal. Xingluo Heavenly City was also Xia Wendy's enemy. Knowing that Yi Qinfeng also wanted to deal with Xingluo Heavenly City, she smiled and agreed without hesitation. The two of them reached an agreement, and Yi Qinfeng immediately controlled the universe mirror to send the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts that were intimidated by the black god ant into the universe mirror. He was prepared to use the God-Eater brain and the beast-taming technique he got from killing Shou Laiyun to subdue them. All right, since there are no more ancient elixirs here, let's go. Yi Qinfeng, who had a bountiful harvest, suggested. After saying that, Yi Qinfeng, Xia Wendy, and the Black God left the depths of the ancient medicinal garden and flew towards the outer area. Because of the Black God ant's intimidation, no demonic beasts in the ancient medicinal garden or ancient ruins dared to attack them. Very quickly, they flew to the entrance of the ancient ruins. Wait, there is an ambush outside. When they flew to the entrance of the ancient ruins, Yi Qinfeng's powerful soul spirit sensed the aura of an array at the entrance of the ancient ruins. Outside the array, he sensed more than 10 powerful auras lying in ambush. This great ant was just worrying about venting her anger, and they came knocking on my door. If I don't teach them a bloody lesson today, they will really think that this great ant is easy to provoke. I am going to skin them alive. Xia Wendy, who was repeatedly defeated by Yi Qinfeng, had a belly full of anger and was worried that she had nowhere to vent it. Her eyes flashed with an ominous glint as she spoke with a double meaning. Yi Qinfeng, you guys wait for me here. Don't make a move. I will go and take care of them. Xia, Wendy said with a cold killing intent. Go, we will wait for you here. Yi Qinfeng rubbed his nose. He felt some sympathy for the Xingluo, a heavenly city, experts lying in ambush outside. Swish! An ear-piercing sound broke through the air when Xia Wendy, who was flying at an extremely fast speed, arrived outside the ancient ruins. She immediately triggered the array. Countless array patterns appeared in the void, trapping her in the array. Hand over the ancient spiritual herbs that you picked, and I can leave your corpses intact. After successfully trapping Xia Wendy, the level 4 combat beast emperor of Xingluo Heavenly City's second elder walked out from the darkness and said in a low voice. He had a long beard, and his eyes were sunken into his cheeks. He was a level 4 combat beast emperor. He was the second elder of Xingluo Heavenly City. With just you guys, looking at the tens of thousands of array patterns that appeared in front of her, Xia Wendy's eyes emitted a dense killing intent. A 3-legged golden crow appeared on her body and let out a long cry. However, in the array, no one could see Xia Wendy's spiritual beast. They didn't know that her spiritual beast was an ancient, divine beast. Break! Xia Wendy shouted. The 3-legged golden crow fused with her. In an instant, her strength soared to an extremely terrifying level. She struck out with her palm. Dozens of star Dao patterns condensed into a dazzling starlight fist. The fist smashed the incoming array patterns and bombarded the weak point of the offensive array, causing cracks to appear on the array. It's quite sturdy. I'd like to see how many punches this broken array of yours can withstand from me. Bathed in starlight, Xia, Wendy continued to strike. She constantly blasted out shocking fist lights, condensed a large number of star Dao patterns, and bombarded the offensive array that was fully activated. Under the ferocious attacks of the furious Xia Wendy, deafening explosions sounded incessantly. The offensive array set up by the array master of Xingluo Heavenly City was quickly torn apart by her. What is this person's background? How can her strength be so terrifying? Witnessing the offensive array, which they spent several days to set up, being torn apart by Xia Wendy effortlessly, the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City were all dumbfounded. Just as they were in shock, Xia Wendy, who was filled with a vicious aura, charged over. 9 swords of starlight! Xia Wendy transformed her body into a sword. 9 swords of light, imprinted with star Dao intent, descended from the sky and slashed towards the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City, who turned pale with fright. Boom! 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 After 9 loud bangs, the entire ground was in a mess. It was filled with crisscrossing cracks. 5 experts of Xingluo Heavenly City who couldn't dodge in time were killed on the spot. Star Dao diagram destroy. Subsequently, Xia Wendy exerted the star Dao intent to the extreme. She condensed a Dao diagram that was like a star. Endless star patterns poured out and bombarded the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City, who turned pale with fright. A battle without the slightest suspense was played out. Under Xia Wendy's frenzied attacks, the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City were killed one after another. Even the second elder of Xingluo Heavenly City, Shaohai, wasn't able to escape and was killed by the star Dao diagram. Yi Chenfeng gulped when he saw the furious Xia Wendy crazily slaughtering the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City into mincemeat, and he felt a slight chill run down his spine. Women are tigers. They really can't be provoked. P. Miss Xiao's photo has been posted. Friends who want to see it can add us on WeChat. Mobile reading website. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 883. The mountain peaks extended endlessly. Some were majestic, while others were verdant and beautiful. A winding bluestone road passed through the mountains, leading to the depths of the forest. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement Tessia, when he displayed her invincible might and exterminated the experts of Xingluo Heaven City, who were lying in ambush outside the ancient seal. The 2 humans and 1 beast left and headed east, arriving at an ancient forest filled with lakes of various sizes. Yi Chenfeng, I think this place is not bad. It's very suitable for cultivation. Let's study the celestial race experts' corpse here. Xia Wendy looked at the lush surroundings and was very fond of it, so she suggested, actually, studying the celestial race expert's corpse in the universe realm is the best place. Yi Chenfeng said as he flew through the air. What? You still want to trick me into your universe realm to bully me? Let me tell you, no way. Xia Wendy, who had suffered a great loss in the universe realm, rolled her eyes at Yi Chenfeng. How would I dare to bully you? Thinking back to the scene where she killed the experts of Xingluo Heaven City, Yi Chenfeng felt a lingering fear. His body was cold as he softly muttered, "This place is really not bad. It's surrounded by mountains and lakes, and it has a mystical feel. Let's find a place in the mountains to study the celestial race expert's corpse." Looking at the beautiful scenery of the mountains, Yi Chenfeng immediately fell in love with this place. He brought Xia Wendy and the Black Divine Ant and flew into the depths of the mountains to find a place to cultivate. A Taoist temple. There's actually a Taoist temple in these mountains. After flying into the depths of the mountains, Yi Qinfeng found a dilapidated and heavily damaged Taoist temple on top of a small mountain. In front of the Taoist temple, there was a tall and verdant pine tree that would require dozens of people to wrap their arms around it. There was also a well that had dried up for who knows how many years. This ancient pine tree has probably existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Looking at the ancient pine tree in front of him, Yi Qinfeng felt the boundless aura of time and slowly said. The black god ant in human form nodded and said, "This ancient pine tree is at least several 100,000 years old. Yet its life force is still so vigorous, truly amazing. I think this place is not bad. When we study the corpses of the Tian clan supreme experts, no one will disturb us." Looking at the ancient pine and cypress trees in front of him, Yi Qinfeng felt his heart calm down. He quickly set up a restriction around the Taoist temple and took out the corpse of the celestial race's supreme expert that could cause a bloody storm in the Xingluo continent. "Black God, Ant, protect us. Don't let anyone disturb us while we study this corpse." Xia Wendy's eyes lit up as she looked at the corpse of the celestial race powerhouse and ordered, "Don't worry, Master. With me here, I won't let anyone disturb you." The black god Ant nodded and promised. He walked to the edge of the restriction and stood guard for them. Yi Qinfeng curiously asked while looking at Xia Wendy's bright eyes, "Xia Wendy, can you feel the secret of the corpse?" Xia Wendy took off her silver mask and charmingly glanced at Yi Qinfeng as she slowly said, "Of course. Do you think you can hide the secret of this corpse?" With her connate Tao physique, Xia Wendy's Tao intent was not only beyond that of ordinary people, but she was also very sensitive to Tao intents. She had already sensed that the corpse contained the fundamental heavenly Tao of myriad Tao. Yi Qinfeng reminded her, "Xia Wendy, we have a deal. I will let you study this corpse for 1 month, and you will help me deal with Xingluo Heaven City for free. This help is not part of the bet." "Ah," Xia Wendy impatiently said, "you are so long-winded." Deep in the night, everything was silent. The entire mountain forest was quiet. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were sitting cross-legged next to the corpse. They released their soul force into the Tao spirit at his heart to feel the heavenly Tao laws contained within. 1,000 peaks reflect the Jade Lake. The true secret is hidden here. There is a limit to one's cultivation, so there is no trouble. When Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were comprehending until dawn, a melodious voice suddenly rang out and forcefully interrupted their Tao comprehension. When Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy opened their eyes, they saw an old Taoist wearing a dark gray robe. His skin was shriveled, and his hair was tied up in a bun. He strangely appeared without the slightest ripple in the surrounding restriction. In his chest, there was a dagger made of a special material. Judging from the marks on the dagger's handle, this dagger was very old. Seeing this strange old Taoist, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were greatly shaken. They didn't dare to imagine that this person could avoid their soul sense and ignore the spatial restriction to appear before them. "Who are you? How did you get here?" The black god Ant quickly appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy. He looked at the old Taoist with a dagger in his chest as if he was facing a great enemy and loudly questioned. Facing the black god Ant's questioning, the strange old Taoist didn't seem to hear it. His deep eyes revealed a murky gaze as he looked at the shriveled corpse of the divine race. "Are you deaf? I am asking you a question." The black god Ant roared. Waves of demonic energy burst out from his strong body, instantly tearing apart the void in front of him. Like a raging wave, the demonic energy blasted forward. Facing the fatal attack of the black god Ant, the old Taoist didn't dodge. He stood there as if he was scared silly. Cough! Seeing this terrifying demonic aura that was enough to kill a level 6 combat beast emperor, this strange old Taoist suddenly coughed. In the next moment, the demonic energy blasted by the black god Ant shattered and dissipated between heaven and earth. "What? Witnessing this scene, the black god ant revealed a look of horror. He couldn't believe that there was such a terrifying existence in the Xingluo continent. Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were even more shocked. Just a cough was enough to shatter the demonic energy released by the black god ant, a low-level sacred beast. What kind of expert was this? However, the black god ant didn't give up attacking. It unleashed its demonic energy to the extreme and spat out a demonic light that was as fast as lightning. It blasted toward the strange old Taoist. However, when this demonic light with shocking destructive power was 3 meters away from the old Taoist, it seemed to have been attacked. It shattered inch by inch and disappeared. Little black ant, this is none of your business. If you continue to be presumptuous, don't blame me for suppressing you. The old Taoist glanced at the frightened black god ant and warned it with a muffled voice. After that, he cast his gaze toward the corpse of the divine race and said slowly, I didn't expect that the corpse of the divine race would fall into the hands of you two juniors. This is really surprising. Senior, you are, hearing the old Taoist shout out the origin of the corpse of the divine race. Yi Qinfeng suppressed the shock in his heart and said, respectfully, who I am is not important. The important thing is that I want this corpse of the divine race. I wonder if you are willing to exchange it with me? The old Taoist asked with a muffled voice. Senior, this corpse is also important to us. Please forgive me for not being able to exchange it with you. Although the old Taoist's strength was extraordinary, Yi Qinfeng didn't give up on the corpse of the divine race because of this. He was prepared to hide in the universe realm at any time. Junior, although the corpse of the divine race is rare, it isn't very useful to you. I am willing to exchange 4 ancient path pills for the corpse of the divine race. The old Taoist flipped his hand in the void, and 4 Tao pills that were covered with ancient runes and emitted a strong medicinal fragrance appeared in his hand as he spoke slowly. Supreme grade ancient path pills. Sensing the quality of the ancient path pills in the old Taoist's hand, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy looked at each other. The shock in their eyes became even stronger. It made them wonder if the old Taoist in front of them was a supreme being from the lower realms of the heaven domain. Since Senior wants the corpse of the divine race so much, we can exchange it with you. However, the time of exchange must be half a year later. Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to anger him. He pondered for a moment and said, All right, then I'll wait for you for half a year. With that, a light flashed under the old Taoist's feet. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Under the eyes of Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy, he strangely disappeared. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 884. That's too scary. That old Taoist strength is too scary. Could he be a powerhouse of the heaven race? Watermark advertisement, test watermark, advertisement test. Xia Wendy took a deep breath and said with lingering fear, never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that she would run into an expert with unfathomable strength in this remote mountain range. She was in a state of panic. No, he's definitely not from the heaven race. Otherwise, you and I would have died long ago. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said with certainty, Black God Ant, what realm do you think he is? Xia Wendy asked the Black God Ant, the only one who had fought with the old Taoist. His strength is too terrifying. He's definitely beyond the Nirvana heavenly realm. The Black God Ant tried hard to recall. And I feel like I've seen him before. You've seen him before? Xia Wendy raised her eyebrows and quickly asked, Who is he? I'm not sure about his identity, but he looks like the person who helped me and Star Emperor kill the heaven race expert back then. The Black God Ant said, What? Hearing the Black God Ant's words, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were even more shocked. It had been more than 500,000 years since the chaos back then. They couldn't believe that the old Taoist was someone from 500,000 years ago. How could his lifespan be so long? That's just my feeling. I'm not sure if it's him, the black god ant said. Sigh, let's not think too much about it. Once we understand the heavenly Tao law of the heaven race's Tao spirit, we'll quickly trade this corpse to him and leave this place. Yi Qinfeng sighed softly. He felt that the Duhan continent and Xingluo continent were far more complicated than he had imagined. In the face of potential danger, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy did their best to get rid of all distracting thoughts. They both entered a state of cultivation and continued to understand the heavenly Tao law that was extremely important to them. Because Yi Qinfeng had already cultivated the heavenly Tao law to the first level, and with the help of the God-Eater brain, he understood the heavenly Tao law much faster than Xia Wendy, who had the born Tao body. As the days passed, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy's comprehension of the heavenly Tao law grew deeper and deeper. Especially Yi Qinfeng, he had already successfully comprehended 5 heavenly Tao patterns. As Yi Qinfeng comprehended more and more heavenly Tao runes, his strength also increased rapidly. However, Yi Qinfeng needed a huge amount of energy to break through to the next realm. If he wanted to break through to the rank 3 combat beast emperor realm, he still needed to accumulate a large amount of energy. The ancient path pill in the old man's hand was exactly what he needed the most. If he could obtain it, he had hopes of breaking through to become a level 3 combat beast emperor in a short period of time. Just as the two of them had forgotten about time and space, completely immersed in comprehending the heavenly Tao laws, a vast and boundless heavenly Tao laws surged out from Xia Wendy's body. Xia Wendy, who possessed the born Taoism aptitude and was extremely talented, had finally cultivated the heavenly path to the first level of heavenly path after more than 3 months. The heavenly Tao is indeed the foundation of all Taos. It is indeed incomparably mysterious. After cultivating the heavenly path to the first level of heavenly path, Xia Wendy felt that her born Taoism aptitude had become even stronger. The power of the heavenly path shocked her even more. Even the life and death Tao intent could not compare to it. After another 2 months, Yi Qinfeng had cultivated the heavenly path to the 3rd level of heavenly path with the help of the God-Eater brain. As for his own strength, it was also on the verge of a breakthrough under the enhancement of the heavenly path. Sigh, there are only 20 heavenly Tao runes in the heaven race's Tao spirit. If there are 10 more heavenly Tao runes, I might be able to break through to the level 3 combat beast emperor realm with the help of the heavenly path. After comprehending all of the heavenly path's Tao spirit's Tao spirit, this corpse was no longer of much value to Yi Qinfeng. He took out the 10,000-year sword-shaped grass that had grown for more than 200,000 years and swallowed it whole. He then comprehended the sword Tao intent within the sword-shaped grass and continued to increase his strength, trying to break through to the level 3 combat beast emperor realm. Soon, the half-year time limit was up, and that old Taoist with the dagger in his chest appeared on time. However, when he realized that Xia Wendy was completely immersed in comprehending the heavenly path's Tao spirit, he didn't forcefully wake her up. Instead, he stood there silently and patiently waited. Finally, after half a year and 21 days, Xia Wendy finally comprehended the 20 heavenly Tao runes in the heaven race's Tao spirit and cultivated it to the 2nd level of heavenly path's Tao spirit. I'm sorry for making you wait, Senior. The anxious Yi Qinfeng saw that Xia Wendy had finally woken up. He let out a long sigh of relief and immediately handed this precious heaven race's Tao spirit's corpse to the strange old Taoist. These 4 ancient path pellets are yours. After obtaining the heaven race's Tao spirit's corpse, Boss revealed a rare smile and gave the 4 extremely precious ancient path pellets, which were enough to make a level 6 combat beast emperor go crazy, to Yi Qinfeng. Senior, are you the person who helped me and Star Emperor kill the heaven race's Tao spirits, Tao spirit? In order to figure out the strange old Taoist identity, the black god ant gathered his courage and asked loudly, "What do you think?" The strange old Taoist looked deeply at the black god ant and asked calmly, "Senior, why would an expert like you appear in the lower realm? Are you not afraid that it will affect your cultivation?" Although the old Taoist didn't answer directly, the smart Xia Wendy still confirmed his identity and asked curiously. Because of the restrictions of space in the Duhan continent and Xingluo continent, it was impossible to break through to the Tao Saint realm. And if a Tao Saint expert came to the lower realm, they would also be restricted by space and wouldn't be able to break through. "I am originally a person of this world. Why shouldn't I appear here?" the strange old Taoist asked. "Senior is a person of this world." Hearing the old Taoist's answer, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy were even more shocked. They felt that the old Taoist in front of them was a mystery. Not only was his lifespan ridiculously long, more importantly, he had also broken through the shackles of space and cultivated to an unimaginable level. There are some things that you shouldn't know. You don't need to know too much. All right, the two of you can peacefully cultivate here. This is the best place to comprehend the nature of heaven and earth and cultivate in seclusion. You can't find such a place anywhere else. After speaking, he didn't give Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy a chance to ask any more questions. He took the withered corpse of the Tian race expert and strangely disappeared. Could it be him? Carefully analyzing the old Taoist words, Yi Qinfeng's mind flashed as he thought of a person. And Xia Wendy also thought of a person, but they tacitly didn't say it out loud. "Xia Wendy, these 2 ancient Tao pills are for you." Yi Qinfeng didn't take the 4 ancient Tao pills for himself and gave 2 of them to Xia Wendy. And Xia Wendy also didn't stand on ceremony with him. She took the 2 ancient Tao pills and prepared to use them when she broke through to the rank 6 combat beast emperor realm. "Xia Wendy, I am preparing to cultivate here for a period of time. Do you want to cultivate with me or leave?" Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy's beautiful face and asked, "This place is not bad. I like it a lot. Seeing the 2 ancient Tao pills just now, I will accompany you for a few more days." Xia Wendy said with a smile that was like a flower, "All right, then let's cultivate here for a period of time and leave together." After speaking, Yi Qinfeng swallowed one of the precious ancient Tao pills into his stomach. Borrowing the enormous medicinal strength and the powerful Tao of the 10,000-year sword-shaped grass, he broke through to the rank 3 combat beast emperor realm. Mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 885. This ancient path pill's medicinal power and Tao intent are so powerful. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test. When the ancient path pill melted in Yi Qinfeng's body, the medicinal power and energy released was beyond Yi Qinfeng's imagination. He felt that even cold night demon saint Tao spirit's energy was not as powerful as this ancient path pill. Chaos divine would suppress your cultivation. In order to fuse with the ancient path pill's medicinal power as much as possible, Yi Qinfeng, who was on the verge of breaking through, controlled the chaos divine would to suppress his cultivation. He circulated the soul-devouring art at a high speed, slowly refining the ancient path pill's medicinal power into his organs and body. When Yi Qinfeng was refining the ancient path pill's medicinal power, the sword spirit in his sea of soul was also fusing with the 10,000-year sword-shaped grass and the Tao intent released by the ancient path pill, undergoing a transformation. Sensing that the Tao intent released from Yi Qinfeng's body was getting stronger and stronger, Xia Wendy, who was cultivating beside him, was also awakened. However, as she had just broken through to rank 5 combat beast emperor, her cultivation was not stable yet. She resisted the urge to consume the ancient path pill and cleared her mind. She immersed her soul into the green mountains and clear waters, trying to sense the Tao intent contained in the natural changes of heaven and earth. At the same time, Xia Bingyun found out through her spies in Xingluo Sky City that other than the King of Assassins, everyone else, including the Second Elder, had died outside the ancient ruins. She was furious and immediately reported this to Xia Tianya. Soon, the Xingluo Sky City sent out a few Tianluo orders to hunt down the real culprit who had killed the Second Elder and the others. The Xingluo continent that had just calmed down was now in a state of panic. The Bai family, Jiang family, and Jasper Palace were on high alert, constantly monitoring the movements of the Xingluo Sky City. Just as the situation in the Xingluo continent was getting more and more tense, Yi Qinfeng had finished refining the ancient path pill and the 10,000-year sword-shaped grass. His body was finally filled with soul power, and he started to break through to rank 3 combat beast emperor. At this moment, a loud voice resounded through the sky, causing all the demonic beasts in the mountains to crawl on the ground and tremble in fear. Heavenly punishment. This guy is trying to break through to the level 3 combat beast emperor realm and attracted the heavenly punishment. Xia, Wendy, who was comprehending the Tao insight of the heavens and the earth, was jolted awake by the vast rumbling of thunder in the sky, and her eyes instantly lit up as she looked at the tribulation clouds that were gushing over from all directions. I wonder what kind of heavenly punishment this fellow will incur. Xia Wendy knew that Yi Qinfeng had many secrets, adding on the fact that the mysterious old Taoist had given them the ancient Tao pellet. She couldn't help but reveal a look of anticipation. She was looking forward to the appearance of the heavenly punishment. Heavenly punishment was drawn in again. That ancient Tao pill is truly powerful. Yi Qinfeng opened his lightning-like eyes. As he looked at the tribulation clouds that were getting thicker and thicker, a grave expression appeared in his eyes. This was because he sensed the laws of the heavenly Tao of life and death within the rapidly gathering tribulation clouds. Clearly, he had attracted an extremely powerful heavenly punishment of life and death. With Yi Qinfeng's current strength and powerful physical body, a simple heavenly punishment of life and death would practically be unable to harm him. However, Yi Qinfeng had a feeling that the heavenly punishment he attracted was absolutely not simple. It would probably be the Tao diagram of life and death that possessed terrifying might. However, if Yi Qinfeng was able to overcome the baptism of the heavenly punishment, then the benefits he would obtain could be imagined. It was extremely likely that he would be able to cultivate the Tao insight of life and death to an extremely high level. The surging tribulation clouds became more and more intense, and they transformed into 2 colors, one black and one white. These 2 colors were formed from the Tao insights of life and death. Great tribulation of life and death. I never expected that he would actually attract such a heavenly punishment. However, compared to the heavenly punishment of life and death that I attracted, this heavenly punishment of life and death is still slightly inferior. Xia Wendy revealed a trace of a proud smile as she looked at the tribulation clouds that had transformed into black and white. She wasn't worried that Yi Qinfeng would fail the tribulation. Rumble. The terrifying black and white tribulation clouds gathered for more than 2 hours before an earth-shattering sound of thunder rang out. 2 bolts of tribulation lightning, one black and one white, broke through the several thousand feet tall tribulation clouds. It was as if 2 divine dragons had descended from the heavens, bombarding Yi Qinfeng, who was sitting cross-legged. In merely an instant, the soul force defense on the surface of Yi Qinfeng's body shattered. The terrifying heavenly punishment of life and death ruthlessly slashed down on his body and instantly swallowed him up. With the true soul body, Yi Qinfeng's physical body was comparable to a low-grade Tao artifact. However, the might of the heavenly punishment of life and death was too great. In merely 10 breaths of time, Yi Qinfeng's skin had cracked open and a large amount of blood flowed out. The ground around him had been destroyed into a complete mess by the heavenly punishment of life and death. A large number of cracks spread out in all directions with him as the center. It was as if the entire mountain was about to collapse. However, the pine and cypress tree that had existed for countless years seemed to be severely damaged and could collapse at any moment. Yet it wasn't affected in the slightest. It was extremely strange. God-Eater brain, comprehend Tao intent. Bathed in the heavenly punishment of life and death, Yi Qinfeng raised the God-Eater brain's deduction speed to the peak. It deduced the Tao intent of life and death within the heavenly punishment of life and death, increasing his comprehension of Tao intent. Rumble, rumble. At this moment, a loud rumble resounded from the violently churning black and white tribulation clouds. Several more heavenly punishment lightning bolts struck down towards Yi Qinfeng, wanting to blast him into pieces. Tao intent of life and death. Tao intent of the 5 elements, Tao intent of heaven and earth break. Withstanding the increasingly powerful attacks of the heavenly punishment of life and death, the 3 fused Tao intents gushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body and transformed into a Tao intense divine wood. It swayed in the terrifying heavenly punishment of life and death lightning bolts. Under the protection of the Tao intense divine wood, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng sharply decreased. The Tao intents of life and death that struck his body were all swallowed up by the chaos divine wood. Slowly, the first heavenly punishment of life and death disappeared. But before Yi Qinfeng had a chance to catch his breath, the violently churning black and white tribulation clouds churned. Several hundred heavenly punishment lightning bolts broke through the clouds and fused together. They tore through the void and struck towards Yi Qinfeng. When the second heavenly punishment of life and death descended, the heavens and earth changed color. Countless ancient trees in the mountain forest were reduced to ashes. Even the old Taoist that seemed to have come from 500,000 years ago appeared. He came to the heavenly punishment area and stood beneath the ancient pine and cypress tree. Silently, he watched Yi Qinfeng undergo the tribulation. However, the heavenly punishment of life and death didn't seem to sense his existence. It only focused on attacking Yi Qinfeng. This caused Xia Wendy, who was hiding outside the tribulation area, to be extremely shocked. If it were an ordinary person, they would have long since been smashed to pieces by the second heavenly punishment of life and death. But Yi Qinfeng was able to rely on his powerful physical body to bitterly persist. This was enough to show just how monstrous his physical body was. Divine 9 transformations refine the heavenly punishment. As more and more heavenly punishment broke into his body, he rapidly circulated the divine 9 transformations, refining the powerful heavenly punishment into his body's acupoints and further tempering his physical body. Around 6 hours later, the 100 heavenly punishment of life and death gradually disappeared. Yi Qinfeng appeared in Xia, Wendy's field of vision. Yi Qinfeng seemed to be heavily injured. But with the chaos divine wood guarding his heart meridians, the injuries to his physical body weren't as severe as they appeared. His physical body had also become much tougher under the tempering of the heavenly punishment of life and death. However, Yi Qinfeng's face revealed a deep solemnity. This was because he could feel a strength that could threaten his life amidst the rapidly revolving heavenly punishment of life and death. After around an incense stick of time, the rapidly revolving heavenly punishment of life and death trembled. A black and white Tao diagram of life and death appeared. When Yi Qinfeng saw the Tao diagram of life and death appear in the void, his complexion changed. This was because he discovered that his third heavenly punishment of life and death was not a single Tao diagram of life and death, but 2. To be attacked by 2 Tao diagrams of life and death at the same time was something he never expected. He was once again experiencing the test of life and death. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 886. Dual Tao Diagrams of Life and Death. Looks like this guy has done so many bad things that even the heavens want to strike him to death. Seeing the two life and death Tao diagrams break out of the black and white tribulation clouds and descend from the sky, determined to kill Yi Qinfeng, Xia Wendy's eyes widened in shock as she muttered to herself. Even the eyes of the mysterious old Taoist, who had lived for an unknown number of years and had seen many amazing talents, were shining brightly. Clearly, the appearance of two Tao diagrams of life and death had exceeded his expectations, making him slightly interested in Yi Qinfeng. Heavenly Tao. At this critical moment, 21 heavenly Tao inscriptions erupted from Yi Qinfeng's body and fused into the divine tree of Tao, causing it to undergo a qualitative change. The tree became vigorous and powerful as its lush canopy constantly extended, obscuring the sky and blocking the attacks of the two Tao diagrams of life and death. Rumble. A thunderous boom boomed above Yi Qinfeng's head. It was like the fury of a god, shaking the surroundings and instilling fear in everyone. After the boom, the terrifying Tao intent of life and death surged out like a jeer, wildly unleashing astonishing destructive force. It bombarded the divine tree of Tao in an attempt to shatter it and directly bombard Yi Qinfeng. However, the divine tree of Tao had been fused with 20 heavenly Tao inscriptions, so the Tao intent it contained was extremely powerful. It constantly flickered with the light of Tao intent, blocking the barrage of the dual Tao diagrams of life and death. For a moment, the space around Yi Qinfeng blurred. The collision of the three powerful attacks constantly tore through space and destroyed the earth. Not far away, 3 cloud peaks shrouded in mountain mist directly exploded, turning into countless pieces of gravel, smashing into the chaotic mountain range. Tao intent of the sword, tear. Seeing that the divine wood of Tao couldn't withstand the attack of the dual Tao diagrams of life and death, 80 strands of sword Tao will gushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body, transforming into a divine sword that could split the heavens and earth. Mixed with the multiplication of Tao patterns, it heavily slashed at the Tao diagram of life and death, weakening its destructive power. The Tao intent sword that Yi Qinfeng had condensed to the extreme was extremely powerful, but the Tao intent of life and death was even more terrifying. In less than 10 breaths of time, the Tao intent sword was shattered by the Tao diagram of life and death, while cracks appeared on the Tao intent divine wood. Dragon bloodline, burn. The Tao intent divine wood could not withstand the bombardment of the dual life and death Tao diagram. Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate to burn his dragon bloodline, instantly increasing his soul power by 7 times. He transformed into his beast soul form and charged towards the dual life and death Tao diagram with the Emperor Heaven's sword in hand. What is he doing? Could it be that he wants to fight Tian Fa? Seeing Yi Qinfeng's bold actions, Xia Wendy revealed a look of shock. Tian Fa was not to be trifled with. If Yi Qinfeng fought Tian Fa now, he would definitely activate Tian Fa's strongest power. Furthermore, being so close to the Tao diagram of life and death, the attacks would be even more intense. Any slight discomfort and he might not be able to recover. However, the mysterious old Taoist standing under Gu Songbai, who was not affected by Tian Fa, revealed a look of admiration. In the face of certain death, one could only brave the challenge and fight with all their might. Only then would one be able to fight for a chance of survival. Facing the dual life and death Tao diagrams head-on, Yi Qinfeng's powerful body was under immense pressure. His clothes were completely torn apart, and large patches of blood dragon scales were turned into dust. His body, which was comparable to a low-grade Tao artifact, had crisscrossing cracks as blood flowed out uncontrollably. Golden body art. As his injuries worsened, Yi Qinfeng no longer held back. He quickly executed the golden body art, forming a layer of defensive golden light that enveloped his body and blocked the attacks of the Tao diagram of life and death. 8 Sha Azura art, slaughter, amplification. In order to destroy the Tao diagram of life and death, Yi Qinfeng used all of his offensive techniques. He formed 8 halos of slaughter, increasing the power of slaughter by 8 halos and increasing his attack power. Dragon heart ignition, true dragon transformation. Yi Qinfeng raised his attack power to the peak. He ignited the power of his dragon heart and released an astonishing dragon strength. He met the oncoming Tao diagram of life and death and transformed into a blood dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It forcefully tore through the Tao intent of life and death and bombarded the Tao diagram of life and death. A supernatural ability of the Dragon Clan. The mysterious old Taoist's eyes shone with an even brighter light. He immediately recognized that Yi Qinfeng was using a supernatural ability of the Heaven Realm Dragon Clan. As for Yi Qinfeng's identity, his interest was piqued. Kachacha! After being attacked by Yi Qinfeng's true dragon transformation, cracks appeared on the Tao diagram of life and death. But in the blink of an eye, the cracks were repaired by the surging Tao intent of life and death. However, the God-Eater brain that was rapidly deducing could clearly sense that the Tao intent of the Tao diagram of life and death had decreased. Clearly, the attack just now had worked. Heartless heavenly Tao. Dark extreme Tao. Illusory dragon shadow. After recovering his true form, Yi Qinfeng ignored the exhaustion of his body and withstood the overwhelming Tao intent of life and death. He continuously used powerful Tao skills to attack the Tao diagram of life and death, forcefully weakening its power. However, under the siege of the 2 Tao diagrams of life and death, Yi Qinfeng's injuries worsened. Almost 80% of the blood dragon scales that covered his body were shattered, and a large amount of blood covered his entire body. Fiend God bloodline ignite. Seeing that he couldn't hold on any longer, Yi Qinfeng ignited the second bloodline in his body. His body that was riddled with wounds continued to grow larger and larger, as if cast from steel. His physical strength reached 90 million gene. True dragon transformation. Under the amplification of his fiend god bloodline, Yi Qinfeng once again used the true dragon transformation, transforming into a blood dragon that shook the heavens. Fusing together 90 million gene of strength and the Tao intent of the great Tao, he smashed into the Tao diagram of life and death. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Yi Qinfeng's blood dragon transformation continued to explode. The violent explosions caused the heavens and earth to shake and space to distort. Under this all-out attack, the Tao diagram of life and death began to crack once more, rapidly spreading throughout its entire body. In the blink of an eye, the cracks on the Tao diagram of life and death began to heal. However, the Tao diagram of life and death strength was rapidly being consumed. Sword Soul. At this critical moment, the sword soul broke out of Yi Qinfeng's spiritual sea and fused with the powerful Tao intent of the sword. It viciously slashed at the rapidly healing Tao diagram of life and death, directly splitting it in half. Sword Soul. This guy actually condensed a sword soul. Seeing the sword soul split open the Tao diagram of life and death, Xia, Wendy was flabbergasted, as if she had seen a ghost. Incredible. This junior is truly incredible. He actually managed to condense a sword soul. Even in the 3 divine kingdoms, this level of talent can't be found. The mysterious old Taoist revealed a look of praise as he continued to watch Yi Qinfeng's tribulation. Wang, wang, wang. Just as Yi Qinfeng had nearly exhausted all of his soul force and used the power of his sword soul to tear apart the Tao diagram of life and death, the rapidly spinning black and white tribulation clouds suddenly emitted the hum of swords. In the next moment, a sword diagram of life and death broke out of the black and white tribulation clouds, releasing an endless sword intent that locked onto Yi Qinfeng. Myriad sword Dao diagram. Just how much sin has this Yi Qinfeng committed? How could he attract the myriad sword Dao diagram to kill him? Seeing the myriad sword Dao diagram fall from the heavens towards Yi Qinfeng, Xia Wendy's expression changed and a trace of worry appeared in her eyes. Mobile reading home. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Collect button below to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 887. Ancient Jade Peach of Immortality. Yi Qinfeng did not expect that tearing apart the life and death Dao diagram with all his might would lead to the second Dao diagram hidden within the black and white calamity clouds. Without hesitation, he took out a regenerative sacred item, the ancient Jade Peach of Immortality, and swallowed it, instantly recovering the soul power that he had expended. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test at this moment. The myriad sword Dao diagram attacked. Thousands of swords shot out and swept towards Yi Qinfeng like a rain of swords, wanting to split him into pieces. The other side of the life and death Dao diagram also attacked. It intertwined with the life and death Dao patterns and attacked Yi Qinfeng. Emperor Sky, sword technique. 7 swords of judgment. Facing the attacks of the myriad sword Dao diagram and the life and death Dao diagram, Yi Qinfeng did not retreat. He held the Emperor's Sky sword in his hand and continuously used powerful Dao techniques to resist the attacks of the 2 Dao diagrams. At the same time, he controlled the sword's soul to attack the 2 Dao diagrams and weaken their powers. The sword soul has undergone a qualitative change. As the sword's soul attacked the 2 Dao diagrams again and again, Yi Qinfeng could clearly feel that the sword soul that had merged with the 10,000-year sword-shaped herb was undergoing a qualitative change. The power of the sword Dao that it contained was getting stronger and stronger. However, as the attacks of the 2 Dao diagrams became more ferocious, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng continued to increase. His physical injuries were also getting worse. Chaos Divine would defend. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng used another trump card. The Chaos Divine that was suppressing his heart appeared above his head and defended against the attacks of the 2 Dao diagrams. What kind of divine wood is this? The moment the Chaos Divine would appeared, the mysterious old Taoist's eyes shot out a radiance that was even brighter than the stars. Even with his eyes, he could not recognize the Chaos Divine wood immediately. Beast, this guy still has a trump card that he hasn't used yet. Seeing the Chaos Divine would defend against the attacks of the 2 Dao diagrams, Xia Wendy twitched her mouth and heaved a sigh of relief. 5 elements Dao intent, life and death Dao intent, heaven and earth Dao intent fuse. The instant the Chaos Divine would defended against the attacks of the 2 Dao diagrams, Yi Qinfeng unleashed his 3 Dao intents to the extreme and frantically fused them into the Chaos Divine wood, increasing its strength. Under the attack of the Chaos Divine wood, the attacks of the myriad sword Dao diagram and the life and death Dao diagram were completely blocked. Yi Qinfeng seized this rare opportunity to control the sword spirits to attack with full force. Through the baptism of the 2 Dao diagrams, he underwent a qualitative change. The commotion caused by Yi Qinfeng's tribulation was so great that it alarmed many experts. Just as they were about to get closer to see what was going on, a mysterious old Taoist, wearing an old Taoist robe, who looked like he had 1 foot in the grave, appeared in front of them. Then the old Taoist waved his sleeves that had been washed so many times that they had turned white. A hurricane that was tens of thousands of feet long swept through the world and sent them flying hundreds of miles away. In the next moment, the mysterious old Taoist quickly formed several complex hand seals that fused into the void, restricting the entire mountain range to prevent anyone from coming to disturb Yi Qinfeng's tribulation. At this time, the rapidly spinning black and white tribulation clouds released two rays of Tao intent that fused into the life and death Tao diagram and the myriad sword Tao diagram, further increasing the power of the two Tao diagrams. It's the final moment. Let's see if you can withstand the final baptism of the heavenly tribulation. The mysterious old Taoist felt that the power of the black and white tribulation clouds was being sucked dry. He knew that Yi Qinfeng's heavenly tribulation was coming to an end. However, the closer it was to the end, the stronger the heavenly tribulation would be. Too many geniuses in history had died at this last step. Blood qi burn, power of slaughter, fuse. The power of the two Tao diagrams increased and gradually restrained the chaos divine wood, forcing it bit by bit towards Yi Qinfeng. As a last resort, Yi Qinfeng burned his vigorous blood qi and used his surging blood qi and power of slaughter to resist the baptism of the two Tao diagrams. This was his final struggle. Wang wang wang. Just as the pressure on Yi Qinfeng increased exponentially, dense sword cries rang out from the sword spirit. Under the dual baptism of the two great Tao diagrams, the sword spirit finally underwent a qualitative change, and the sword Tao will it contained reached the ninth heaven. The increase in the sword spirit's power greatly reduced the pressure on Yi Qinfeng. He controlled the sword spirit to attack fiercely, forcefully weakening the two Tao diagrams and slowing down their attacks. Master, do you think he can survive this abnormal heavenly tribulation? Although the black god ant was a low-level saint beast, equivalent to a heaven domain Tao saint expert, it was still deeply shocked by the heavenly tribulation that Yi Qinfeng attracted. It had a feeling that if it was at the same level as Yi Qinfeng, facing this abnormal heavenly tribulation, its body would have been shattered and it wouldn't have been able to last as long as he did. Don't worry, that guy's life is tough. I'm afraid the heavenly Tao, law, won't be able to kill him. Xia, Wendy held a memory stone in her hand and revealed a wicked smile. She recorded the entire scene of Yi Qinfeng's tribulation. When the sword spirit blocked the attack of the myriad sword Tao diagram, the bloodied Yi Qinfeng controlled the chaos divine would to crash into the life and death Tao diagram, forcefully cracking it. The heavenly Tao is merciless. The life and death Tao diagram cracked. Yi Qinfeng transformed into his godly demon body. His body was stronger than an ordinary mid-grade Tao artifact. He didn't care about the damage to his body and forcefully shot out 30 heavenly Tao runes. They formed an apocalyptic power of the heavenly Tao that heavily bombarded the broken life and death Tao diagram. Boom! The life and death Tao diagram was attacked by the heavenly Tao. It violently trembled and more cracks appeared on its surface. Sword spirit, break for me! Yi Qinfeng didn't waste this rare opportunity. He used his powerful body to withstand the attack of the myriad sword Tao diagram and controlled the sword spirit to slash at the broken life and death Tao diagram. Qi. The cracked life and death Tao diagram was forcibly split open by the sword spirit. The powerful Tao intent of life and death filled the void and gradually dissipated. Phew, there is only one diagram left. Once I destroy it, I can pass this divine punishment. After being blasted away by the myriad sword Tao diagram, Yi Qinfeng's body was severely injured. He took a deep breath and called back the chaos divine wood. He controlled the chaos divine wood to resist the attacks of the myriad sword Tao diagram, while he continued to control the sword spirit to let it experience the baptism of the myriad sword Tao diagram. The myriad sword Tao diagram was very stubborn. Yi Qinfeng used all of his skills, but still couldn't break it. Under the fierce attacks, time was constantly being consumed. When the night passed and dawn arrived, the sword spirit finally completed its second baptism. It was also the most critical qualitative leap. Perfection. The sword Tao intent contained in the sword spirit has reached the 10th level. Sensing the changes in the sword soul, Yi Qin Feng, who was riddled with wounds, grit his teeth and persevere, revealed a pale smile. In the next moment, he controlled the sword spirit to quickly transform into a terrifying sword spirit diagram. With the power to destroy everything, it bombarded the myriad sword Tao diagram. Boom, boom, boom. Endless explosions sounded in the myriad sword Tao diagram. The myriad sword Tao diagram was filled with thousands of sword markings. Under the attack of the sword spirit diagram, dozens of sword marks spread on the surface of the sword spirit diagram. Myriad sword Tao diagram be destroyed. After destroying the myriad sword Tao diagram with one blow, Yi Qin Feng pushed his Tao intent to the extreme and poured it all into the sword spirit diagram. The second time it bombarded the myriad sword Tao diagram, it shattered in one fell swoop. The myriad sword Tao diagram shattered, and the black and white tribulation clouds that shrouded the entire mountain range gradually dispersed. Yi Qin Feng survived the bombardment of the 3 Tao diagrams, passed the insane divine punishment, and began to advance to the 3rd level combat beast emperor realm. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 888. Breakthrough, Level 3 Battle Beast Emperor. After experiencing the baptism of heaven's punishment, Yi Qin Feng's bottleneck became extremely fragile. Without any effort, he broke through the bottleneck and broke through to the Level 3 Battle Beast Emperor realm. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test. The moment he broke through, the Blood Dragon Emperor in his soul sea became even more powerful. Just by relying on the Blood Dragon Emperor, he could instantly kill an expert of the same level. After breaking through, Yi Qin Feng, who was bathed in the light of Tao intent, didn't wake up. He controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the Tao patterns imprinted in his flesh over and over again, elevating his own Tao intent. Amazing! He broke through the 3 Tao intent diagrams and passed through heaven's punishment. My soul-fighting continent actually gave birth to such a shocking genius. This world is finally going to change. After witnessing the scene of Yi Qin Feng breaking through heaven's punishment, the mysterious old Taoist's eyes shot out rays of radiance. A rare smile appeared on his aged face. Silently, he stood under the towering ancient pine and cypress trees that had experienced the vicissitudes of time, waiting in silence. Livestock will always be livestock. This fellow is truly abnormal. Seeing Yi Qin Feng successfully pass through heaven's punishment, Xia Wendy's devastatingly beautiful face revealed a trace of a charming smile. She held a memory stone and muttered softly, "Life and death Tao intent, 8th heavens." After nearly 2 days of enlightenment, Yi Qin Feng's God-Eater brain had fully comprehended the life and death Tao pattern in his flesh and cultivated the life and death Tao intent to the 8th heavens. The 5 elements Tao intent, heaven Tao intent, and illusion Tao intent had obviously improved under the baptism of heaven's punishment. They were only a fine line away from the 7th heavens. The sword Tao intent was at the 10th heavens, the life and death Tao intent was at the 8th heavens, the illusion Tao intent was at the 7th heavens, the 5 elements Tao intent and the heaven Tao intent were almost at the 7th heavens. Yi Qin Feng felt the 5 elements Tao intent that he grasped and revealed a satisfied smile. With his current strength and Tao intent, he felt that he could completely kill a level 5 Battle Beast Emperor. Even if he faced a level 6 Battle Beast Emperor, he should still have the strength to fight. Right when Yi Qin Feng was silently sensing the changes in his strength and Tao insight, the light of Tao insight that enveloped his body suddenly suffered a heavy blow and shattered. A smiling face appeared in front of Yi Qin Feng, looking straight at him. In the next moment, Yi Qin Feng, whose clothes had long been shredded by the heavenly punishment, covered his lower body with his hands. He widened his eyes and looked at Xiao Wendy, who was giggling, and said loudly, "Xiao Wendy, do you know what shame is?" "Honor and shame? What is shame? Why don't you teach me?" Xiao Wendy's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. "All right, don't be so nervous. It's not like you'll lose anything just by looking." Xia Wendy boldly looked at Yi Qinfeng's well-proportioned body and said with an evil smile, "Yi Qinfeng, I didn't expect you to have such a good figure. Come, come, take your hands away. Let me see what you have." Yi Qinfeng didn't expect Xia Wendy to be so daring. Under her burning gaze, he hid within the world mirror and left behind Xia Wendy, who revealed an extremely unladylike smile of victory. "Kid, who asked you to bully me? You'll cry in a while." Xia Wendy looked at the memory stone in her hand and revealed her cute little canine teeth. After a short while, Yi Qinfeng, who was neatly dressed, left the world mirror, and he was slightly speechless as he looked at Xia Wendy, who had an evil smile on her face. "Yi Qinfeng, why are you looking at me like that? But your appearance when you overcame the tribulation was so valiant. It caused my heart to surge with emotion and my eyes to emit little stars, and I couldn't help but record everything with the memory stone." Xia Wendy withdrew a memory stone from the world mirror and said, "But your appearance when you're completely naked is a bit of a killjoy." Yi Qinfeng didn't expect Xia Wendy to have this ability, and he was speechless as he said with a commanding tone, "Give me the memory stone." "What if I don't give it to you?" Xia Wendy smiled and fearlessly asked, "What can you do to me?" "Xia Wendy, don't forget that you still owe me 2 bets. Yi Qinfeng gritted his teeth and warned. "Of course I remember." Seeing Yi Qinfeng's defeated appearance, Xia Wendy smiled even more cutely. "How about you use another bet to make me give this memory stone to you?" "No, I'm prepared to use a bet to make you come to the world mirror and duel with me." Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said, "Go die. This lady will definitely not foolishly enter that spatial treasure of yours again." Xia Wendy rolled her eyes at Yi Qinfeng and firmly said. Just as Yi Qinfeng was hesitating whether or not to snatch the memory stone from Xia Wendy's hands, a mysterious old Taoist wearing an old Taoist robe stepped through the void and walked over. Looking at Yi Qinfeng, who had shocking talent and was hiding a great secret, he said, "Junior, just who is your master?" "My apologies, Senior. Junior's master is a bit special. Please forgive Junior for not being able to tell Senior." Yi Qinfeng's main inheritance came from the God-Eater brain, and the other inheritances were obtained by fighting for himself. He also didn't understand the powerful Tai, so after pondering for a moment, he didn't reveal Tai's existence. "All right, since you don't want to say, then I won't ask anymore." The mysterious old Taoist looked deeply at Yi Qinfeng for a moment, then shook his head and didn't continue to ask. "Senior, why is there a dagger in your chest? Doesn't it hurt?" Xia Wendy looked at the dagger in the mysterious old Taoist's chest and asked in confusion. The mysterious old Taoist looked at the beautiful Xia Wendy, who didn't wear any makeup, and slowly said, "This dagger is inserted into my life vein and has already fused with my body. If I forcefully pull it out, my life won't be long." "Senior, you are so strong. Who left this dagger in your body?" Xia Wendy was like a curious child, blinking her big eyes, and asked. The mysterious old Taoist didn't answer Xia Wendy's question and said in a low voice, "This world is far more complicated than you can imagine. When your strength reaches the limit of this world, you can go to the central world to take a look. There are the most outstanding geniuses of this world there, but also many heaven-shocking mysteries." Central world. Xia Wendy's eyes lit up and asked, "Senior, is the legendary Heaven Realm Gate hidden in the void of the central world?" "Correct. The Heaven Realm Gate is in the central world." The mysterious old Taoist nodded and said, "However, even if you cultivate to the 6th rank battle beast emperor realm, don't casually ascend, or you will lose your life." "Why?" Is it that difficult to ascend to the heaven realm? Xia, Wendy slightly frowned and asked in confusion. It's not that it's difficult, but that someone doesn't want you to ascend. The mysterious old Taoist said in a low voice, Isn't the Star Emperor a good example? Hearing this, Yi Qinfeng's heart moved. Combined with the secrets of the Star Emperor, he guessed that the 3 alien races must have sealed the heaven realm gate, not allowing human experts to ascend to the heaven realm. Seems like the human race's situation in the heaven realm is not good either. Yi Qinfeng said in his mind. All right, I have said what I should say. You need to figure out what you shouldn't say yourself. The mysterious old Taoist showed a rare smile and said, Before you leave, I will give you 2 more jade tags that I made. If you encounter any danger, you can crush them, and the power in them can save your life. Thank you, Senior. Yi Qinfeng took over the tags that contained vast power from the old Taoist and said gratefully, The path of cultivation is long and full of thorns and obstacles. I hope you can support each other and love each other. That way, your path will be easier. The mysterious old Taoist looked at the talented Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy and said lovingly. After that, he didn't wait for Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy, who were staring with their eyes wide open, to explain. His body rippled like water and disappeared into the void. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 889. Yi Qinfeng, don't think too much about it. We are not suitable for each other. If we are together, we will definitely fight until our heads bleed. Xia Wendy looked at Yi Qinfeng's handsome face and said seriously, I think so too. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said without hesitation, All right, the matters here are settled. I have to go now. If one day you want to deal with Xingluo Tian City, use this communication pearl to contact me. Xia Wendy took out a communication pearl and handed it to Yi Qinfeng, saying, If there is nothing else, do not disturb me. If you disturb my cultivation, I will definitely beat your ass. Don't worry, I have many things to do as well. I will not disturb you. Yi Qinfeng rubbed his nose and said with a bitter smile, However, before I leave, shouldn't you give me that memory stone? In your dreams, when this grand aunt is bored, I even want to admire it. Xia Wendy said with a smile, Yi Qinfeng, I'm leaving now. Don't miss me too much. After saying that, Xia Wendy left behind a string of crisp laughter and flew away on the black god, Aunt Xia Wendy. Looking at Xia Wendy's departing figure, a helpless smile appeared on Yi Qinfeng's face. With a flash of his body, he entered the universe mirror. Using the power of the universe mirror and the God-Eater brain, he spent nearly 3 days to place a soul imprint on the soul seas of the 3 level 8 heavenly beasts, the dual-headed lizard, the dual-tailed demonic fox, and the Pegasus, subduing them. Pegasus, let's go to Moon City. Yi Qinfeng imprinted the general location of Moon City into the Pegasus soul imprint, and it soared into the skies, turning into a white light as it sped towards Moon City. Moon City by Family Mansion in a secluded garden. Elder sister, are you thinking of Big Brother Yi again? Bai Yu, who was wearing an emerald green dress, had a tall and slender figure. She had an unruly expression on her face as she walked to the pavilion on the fake mountain. She looked at Bai Ziqing, who was staring blankly at the emerald pond, and asked softly, No, I'm not thinking about Big Brother Yi. Bai Ziqing's face blushed as she shook her head. Sigh, elder sister, you can't hide your thoughts from me. Bai Yu sighed softly and said, However, we're not people of the same world as Big Brother Yi. Even if we do our best, we won't be able to catch up to his footsteps. Thinking about it is pointless. I understand. Bai Ziqing sighed faintly. I'm going to wait for the Xingluo continent to regain its stability before going out to train for a period of time. Okay, big sister, you must call me when the time comes. Bai Yu had long wanted to go out and explore, so she shook Bai Ziqing's arm and said. While the two women were chatting in the pavilion, Bai Yu's communication bead lit up. When she heard the message from the communication bead, her eyes lit up. She said excitedly, Sister, the person you've been thinking about is back. Let's go to the main hall. Big brother Yi is here. The worry on Bai Ziqing's face was swept away, and she quickly headed to the Bai clan's main hall with Bai Yu. However, when they arrived at the Bai clan's main hall, they found out that Yi Qinfeng had left with Bai Feng. Chengfeng, you've broken through to the level 3 combat Beast Emperor realm. Feeling Yi Qinfeng's aura, Bai Feng's eyes widened in shock. He knew that every breakthrough in the combat Beast Emperor realm required a long period of accumulation. Not only did Yi Qinfeng break through to the level 3 combat Beast Emperor realm in such a short period of time, his foundation was also extremely solid. Yes, this junior had a fortuitous encounter recently and broke through to the next realm. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, Oh, right, senior. How many of the main ingredients for refining the ultimate Emperor Dao pill did you find? It's really shameful. Our 3 factions used all the channels available to us, but we only found a heavenly Kirin fruit, a 9-star peach, and a level 9 heavenly beast's monster core. Bai Feng sighed softly. That's great, senior. You really found the heavenly Kirin fruit. Now we can start refining. Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up and said with a smile, What? You found the other main ingredients for refining the ultimate Emperor Dao pill? Bai Feng asked in surprise. Yes, except for the heavenly Kirin fruit, I found the other main ingredients. Among them, the blood dragon ginseng and the yin-yang ice firegrass are more than 200,000 years old. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, 200,000 years old spirit herbs. Bai Feng took a deep breath and said, Don't tell me you picked up the blood dragon ginseng and the yin-yang ice firegrass in the ancient herb garden. Senior is right. These 2 ancient spirit herbs were picked by this junior in the ancient herb garden. Yi Qinfeng smiled and didn't hide anything. Then the murder outside the ancient ruins was done by you? Bai Feng asked in surprise. Those people in Xingluo Sky City were not killed by me. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said, It was someone else who killed them. Someone else? Bai Feng frowned and said, There's such an expert in Xingluo continent. Senior, don't worry, that faction has a common enemy with us. When we fight against the true demon clan and Xingluo Sky City, they will come to help us. However, the most important thing right now is to refine the ultimate Emperor Dao pill and increase the strength of the seniors. Only when the 3 of you have broken through to the 6th class combat Beast Emperor realm will we have the ability to fight against them. Yi Qinfeng said slowly, All right, I will go get the heavenly Kirin fruit for you now. Bai Feng left the secret cultivation room and found the Bai family's patriarch, Bai Qingtian, to ask for the heavenly Kirin fruit. Senior, does the Bai family have an alchemy room? The difficulty of refining the ultimate Emperor Dao pill was extremely high. Yi Qinfeng, who had fused with a large amount of inherited memories, didn't have full confidence in refining it. He wanted to borrow external help to increase the success rate. Yes, I will bring you there. Bai Feng personally brought Yi Qinfeng to the basement of the Bai family's residence. There was an alchemy room built close to the core of the fire core. Qingfeng, this is the best alchemy room in the Bai family. Activate the restriction, and you can borrow the earth core fire to refine pills. Bai Feng introduced softly. Senior, when I'm refining pills, remember not to let anyone disturb me. I don't want to fail at the last step. Yi Qinfeng was very satisfied with the alchemy room and reminded him softly, Don't worry, Qingfeng. With me around, no one will disturb you. Bai Feng patted his chest and promised, Thank you, Senior. I will start refining now. After saying that, Yi Qinfeng closed the heavy door of the alchemy room and sat cross-legged in the middle of the room. He silently adjusted his breathing and adjusted his state of mind. When he had adjusted his state of mind to the best, he activated the restriction of the alchemy room. Immediately, a large amount of earth core fire was attracted and merged into the Suzaku cauldron floating above his palm. Death flame heavenly fire merge. When the earth core fire was ignited in the Suzaku cauldron, Yi Qinfeng also threw the death flame heavenly fire into the Suzaku cauldron, increasing the power of the Suzaku cauldron to the greatest extent. He also summoned the blood dragon ginseng, the first main ingredient for refining the emperor pill, and threw it into the cauldron to refine it. Ing. When Yi Qinfeng was refining the impurities of the blood dragon ginseng according to the inherited alchemy method, deafening dragon roars resounded in the Suzaku cauldron, affecting Yi Qinfeng's soul. Once Yi Qinfeng's soul was affected, it was very likely that he would fail at the last step. Fortunately, Yi Qinfeng's soul was strong enough to withstand the dragon roars of the blood dragon ginseng. He cleared away all distracting thoughts and controlled the Suzaku cauldron to refine the impurities of the blood dragon ginseng. After about 3 days, the impurities of the blood dragon ginseng were melted by the Suzaku cauldron, turning into a blood-red spirit liquid. Then Yi Qinfeng threw the yin-yang ice fire grass that was over 200,000 years old into the Suzaku cauldron and continued refining it. As time passed, Yi Qinfeng, who had a lot of inherited memories, relied on the power of the Suzaku cauldron, the soul of the Suzaku cauldron, the black flame heavenly fire, and the earth core fire to refine the main ingredient for refining the emperor pill. After refining the precious main ingredient, Yi Qinfeng adjusted his breathing and recovered for a while. Then he controlled the Suzaku cauldron to refine the pill. This step was the most crucial and also the most important step in refining the pill. Success or failure depended entirely on the refinement of the pill. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 890. Hoo-hoo! The blazing flames were jumping around the vermilion bird cauldron like fairies. They were releasing surging energy, burning the walls of the alchemy room red and distorting the air constantly. Yi Qinfeng wasn't affected by the surging heat waves at all. His hands were constantly forming complicated hand seals, congealing the multiplying life Tao patterns and fusing them into the vermilion bird cauldron. Fusing the life Tao patterns when concocting elixirs was an inheritance technique that Yi Qinfeng grasped when fusing with the God-Eater brain's soul fragment to increase the success rate of concocting elixirs. As the vermilion bird cauldron's temperature increased, more life Tao patterns were fused. 18 Longan-sized elixir embryonic forms appeared in the vermilion bird cauldron. They were emitting faint golden light and emitted a refreshing medicinal fragrance that lingered in the alchemy room for a long time. Huff! The elixirs are finally about to be formed. Seeing the faint golden medicinal fragrance emerging from the vermilion bird cauldron, Yi Qinfeng, who had exhausted a lot of his soul spirit, revealed a faint smile. He pulled himself together and continued to fuse the life Tao patterns into the 18 ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs. His soul spirit controlled the vermilion bird cauldron to refine the elixirs. The closer one was to the end of the concoction, the more difficult it was to refine the elixirs. Just as the 18 ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs were about to be successfully concocted, the 18 ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs suddenly became restless and gave Yi Qinfeng immense pressure. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and completely released his soul spirit power. The God-Eater brain rapidly deduced and quickly congealed the life Tao patterns, forcefully stabilizing the 18 restless ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs. If they couldn't calm down, the restless medicinal effects might cause the elixirs to explode, and all would be for naught. Under Yi Qinfeng's control, large amounts of soul, spirit ripples, and life Tao patterns were fused into the ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs, forcefully suppressing the restless medicinal effects. But in the end, 3 ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs exploded. There were only 15 ultimate Emperor Tao elixirs left in the vermilion bird cauldron, which greatly reduced the pressure on Yi Qinfeng as he completed the final step of concocting the elixirs. When the last life, Tao pattern, and soul spirit ripple dissipated, Yi Qinfeng let out a long breath of relief. He abruptly slapped the scalding vermilion bird cauldron, causing 15 dazzling golden ultimate Emperor Tao cores to fly out and be caught by Yi Qinfeng. The pill body is round and glossy, and the surface of the pill body is covered with 108 curved medicinal patterns that are rich in Tao intent. The medicinal fragrance permeates the air and contains powerful medicinal energy. This ultimate Emperor Tao pill should be considered a top-grade Great Tao pill, close to the level of an ancient Tao pill. However, to be able to refine 15 extreme Emperor Tao pills in one go is truly unexpected. Looking at the 15 long-incised extreme Emperor Tao pills covered in pill veins, Yi Qinfeng revealed a satisfied look. Yi Qinfeng was able to successfully refine Great Tao pills of such quality in one go, not because of his deep attainments in alchemy, but because the blood dragon ginseng and the yin-yang ice firegrass were both over 200,000 years old. During the refinement process, he had fused in a large number of life Tao patterns, and with the help of the black flame skyfire and the vermilion bird cauldron, he had finally succeeded. Yi Qinfeng took out 6 ultimate Emperor Tao pills and placed them in a white jade bottle. He placed the remaining 9 ultimate Emperor Tao pills into another white jade bottle and stored them in the universe mirror. After that, he adjusted his breathing and recovered his exhausted soul force and soul spirit. Then he left the alchemy room that was so hot that it could melt a peerless king. As soon as Yi Qinfeng walked out of the alchemy room, Bai Feng, who had been standing guard outside, immediately sensed him. Besides Bai Feng, Kong Sungqin and Zhang Biue also rushed over and waited for him. "Qingfeng, did you succeed?" Bai Feng asked expectantly. It could be said that Yi Qinfeng's alchemy was related to the changes in the Xingluo continent's situation. It was also related to the survival of their 3 great clans. "Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. This junior has successfully refined the ultimate Emperor Tao pills." As Yi Qinfeng spoke, he handed the bottle containing the 6 ultimate Emperor Tao pills to the excited Bai Feng. Such strong medicinal efficacy. The medicinal efficacy of this ultimate Emperor Tao pill has probably surpassed the grade of a great Tao pill. The oldest Kong Sungqin took a great Tao pill and carefully appraised it before speaking in shock. This junior is also unable to determine the grade of this ultimate Emperor Tao pill. However, this ultimate Emperor Tao pill's 2 main ingredients, the blood dragon ginseng and the yin-yang ice firegrass, are both over 200,000 years old. This greatly increases the chances of it breaking through the bottleneck, Yi Qinfeng explained softly. "Qingfeng, we really don't know how to repay your kindness." Zhang Biue said gratefully as she held the heavy ultimate Emperor Tao pill in her hand. "Senior Zhang is too polite. Xingluo Heaven City and the True Demon Clan are our common enemies. Only by working together can we shatter their schemes." After learning about the True Demon Clan and Xingluo Heaven City's background, Yi Qinfeng wanted to eradicate them. He wanted to destroy the Heaven Clan and the Demon Clan's foundation and rebuild the human race's legacy. "Oh, right, 3 seniors. This junior might open the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum soon. I wonder if the 3 seniors are interested in entering the Imperial Mausoleum to seek a great opportunity?" Yi Qinfeng knew that the situation in the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum was far more complicated than he had imagined. Opening the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum would definitely alarm the True Demon Clan and Xingluo Heaven City's experts. Therefore, he wanted Kong Sungqin's help. "Qingfeng, you have a way to open the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum?" Kong Sungqin's snow-white eyebrows slightly raised as he asked in surprise. Yes, this junior was fortunate enough to meet the Star Emperor's clone in Xingluo Heaven's 9 jade walls. From him, I obtained the token to enter the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. Kong Sungchen's trio were trustworthy people. Yi Qinfeng didn't hide anything and frankly said, "Qinfeng, you're becoming more and more surprising. I didn't expect you to create another miracle after just arriving at Xingluo Heaven City. You're on par with our Xingluo continent's Star Emperor." Kong Sungchen shook his head and sighed with emotion. "Oh, right, Qinfeng. What title did you leave behind in Xingluo Heaven's wall?" Bai Feng asked curiously. "Sword God." Yi Qinfeng said with a faint smile. Sword God, Bai Feng, Kong Sungchen, and the others looked at each other and asked in shock. The young man who suppressed us old fellows in Slaughter City and is currently ranked first on the 9 Dragon Jade Wall, the one with the title of Sword God, couldn't possibly be, right? Seniors, please don't be offended. That person is indeed this junior. Yi Qinfeng smiled and said in a neither arrogant nor humble manner, "Amazing, Qinfeng. Your talent is really too frightening. I think that in at most 10 years, you'll be able to grow to a level that we can only look up to." Kong Sungchen's trio felt that they could no longer find the words to describe Yi Qinfeng. His talent had reached a level that they couldn't even imagine. "Qinfeng, I will be the matchmaker again. What do you think of Ziqing and you? If you're interested in them, I can make the decision and let them marry you as concubines." Bai Feng rubbed his hands and said shamelessly, "Junior appreciates Senior's kindness, but this junior is wholeheartedly pursuing the Supreme Tao. I really don't have any plans to take concubines." Yi Qinfeng tactfully refused. "But this junior can take them as sisters." "Really?" Bai Feng's dejected expression was swept away as he said excitedly, although Yi Qinfeng's current realm was not as high as theirs, Bai Feng believed that with Yi Qinfeng's talent, he would definitely stand at the peak of Xingluo continent. At that time, even if he passed away, with Yi Qinfeng's help, the Bai clan would be able to stand tall for 10,000 years without falling. Seeing that Bai Feng was using his beauty to get closer to Yi Qinfeng, Kong Sungchen and Zhang Bue did not show any disdain. They were constantly thinking whether they should use the same method to rope in Yi Qinfeng. At first, Bai Ziqing was still a little reluctant to take Yi Qinfeng as her brother, but after talking with Bai Feng, she calmly accepted. After taking the 2 girls as his god-sisters, Yi Qinfeng gave Bai Ziqing and Bai Yu a lot of treasures that were enough to make combat beast emperors green with envy. After bidding farewell to everyone, he quietly returned to Xingluo Sky City. After Yi Qinfeng left, Kong Sungchen and the other 2, as well as Bai Qingtian, Zhang Yixian, and the palace master of Biu Palace, Xinglian, all went into seclusion to use the powerful medicinal effects of the Huangji Dao pill to break through to a higher realm. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 891. Triple Thunder Territory, White Cloud Shop. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, testy, Qinfeng spent a lot of effort to sneak into the jittery Xingluo Sky City. He immediately took the risk and entered the Triple Thunder Territory. After changing his appearance several times, he arrived at the White Cloud Shop and found the person in charge of the Bai clan, Elder Bai. "Young Master Yi, the clan head has sent me a secret message, asking me to prepare 2 brand new identity tokens for young Master." After learning of Yi Qinfeng's arrival, Elder Bai had already prepared 2 brand new identity tokens for him. After receiving the 2 brand new identity tokens, Yi Qinfeng learned about the latest developments in Xingluo Sky City from Elder Bai. After learning of the incident at the ancient ruins, Sha Bingyun ordered a thorough investigation of Xingluo Sky City, eliminating all suspicious people and destroying a branch that the Jiang clan had spent hundreds of years to establish. Besides this news, Yi Qinfeng also learned from Elder Bai that in 3 months, Xingluo Sky City would hold a grand auction at the highest level of the star field. There would be many treasures appearing. After learning about the recent developments in Xingluo Sky City, Yi Qinfeng did not stay in the White Cloud shop for long. He quickly left and arrived at the center of the Triple Thunder Territory, the most authoritative Xingluo Sky Pavilion. He was prepared to use his points to try and exchange for low-grade heaven crystals. If he could exchange for some low-grade heaven crystals and provide enough energy for the sword puppet, then he could repeat his old trick and cause a ruckus at the upcoming auction in the star field. "Young master, may I know what you wish to exchange for?" Yi Qinfeng, who'd controlled the illusory Dao insight to change his appearance, wore an azure green robe and had an extremely ordinary appearance. As soon as he walked into the Starnet Pavilion, a woman with a full figure, light makeup, and an enchanting charm from head to toe greeted him, and she revealed a professional smile as she asked with a pleasant voice, "I wish to use my points to exchange for some low-grade heaven crystals." Yi Qinfeng went straight to the point. "My Xingluo Heavenly Pavilion actually has low-grade heaven crystals. However, young master is merely a silver metal star cultivator, so the exchange price is slightly higher. Each low-grade heaven crystal requires 2 million points." The alluring woman softly said, "All right, then I'll exchange for 10 low-grade heaven crystals first." Even though the exchange price for low-grade heaven crystals was ridiculously high, Yi Qinfeng, who had 60 million points, still decided to exchange for 10 low-grade heaven crystals. With these 10 low-grade heaven crystals, the sword puppet would be able to display the strength of a level 6 beast emperor. At that time, even if Sha Tianya and Lian Xing worked together, they would not be able to trap it. "All right, young master, please follow me." The enchanting woman did not expect Yi Qinfeng to be so generous. She could not help but look at him a few more times. Gently swaying her sexy waist, she brought him to the back hall and took out 10 low-grade heaven crystals to complete the transaction with him. "Young master, do you still need to exchange for anything else?" The enchanting woman revealed an enchanting smile and asked softly, "I don't have any more points. Wait until I earn some more points, then I'll come here to exchange." After saying that, Yi Qinfeng did not stay for long. He left the Xingluo Heavenly Pavilion and rented a secluded room to rest for the night. Early the next morning, he went to the martial arts arena to fight. He wanted to achieve 100 consecutive victories as soon as possible and become a Diamond Star expert. The martial arts arena was the most lively place in the entire Thunderfield. Intense shouts, roars of the victors, and wails of the losers mixed together, creating a deafening sound. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Yi Qinfeng deliberately hid his strength. After going through the cumbersome registration process, he started the martial arts arena. Because he was only a silver metal star expert and the strength he displayed was only that of a level 5 reverse beast king, which was not outstanding in the Triple Thunder Field, his opponents at the beginning were not strong. However, no matter if he met an expert or a weakling, Yi Qinfeng did not win with an overwhelming advantage. Instead, he fought for hundreds or even thousands of moves before barely winning. His fighting style didn't attract anyone's attention, but his winning streak had unknowingly accumulated to 39 matches. His points were also gradually increasing. 18 days, 39 consecutive victories, in addition to the 10 consecutive victories that come with a silver metal star cultivator. I am still 1 match away from achieving 50 consecutive victories and becoming a gold metal star cultivator. However, those upper echelons of the martial arena shouldn't let me become a gold metal star cultivator so easily. The corner of Yi Qinfeng's mouth slightly curled as he silently muttered in his heart. After dawn, Yi Qinfeng took a bath and changed his clothes. He left the room and went to the martial arts arena alone to meet his 40th opponent. Dear, your opponent is here. Yi Chen-fong had just walked to the dueling ground when two sharp gazes locked onto him. A beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure and long, wavy black hair casually draped over her shoulders and fiery red lips revealed a bloody smile as she spoke softly to the man in blood-red clothes beside her. She was wearing a tight black dress and had a voluptuous figure. He should be hiding his strength. He's an interesting opponent. The man in blood-red clothes coldly glanced at Yi Chen-fong and said without a trace of emotion. After that, his body slightly flashed and drew an afterimage in the air, appearing on the west side of the arena where they had agreed to meet. An half-step battle beast emperor. Looking at the man in blood-red clothes in front of him, Yi Chen-feng's face was expressionless. With his current strength, he could kill this kind of opponent in a second with just a finger. Kid, your good luck has come to an end since you met me. The man in blood-red clothes coldly looked at Yi Chen-fong with his hands behind his back. His whole body's aura erupted, and a murderous aura filled the sky. And Devil Chi, someone from the true demon clan. Feeling the devil chi in the man in blood-red clothes, Yi Chen-feng's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Die. The man in blood-red clothes immediately launched an attack at Yi Chen-fong as his strength rose to the maximum. A heavenly blade with tiger patterns engraved on the blade appeared in his hand, and it was a supreme grade heaven artifact. Numerous Tao patterns intertwined on the blade as he slashed at Yi Chen-fong fiercely, breaking the Tao with strength. A supreme grade heaven artifact, heavy hammer, appeared in Yi Chen-feng's hand as he exploded with a force of 10 million pounds. He relied on his absolute strength to withstand the attack of the man in blood-red clothes. Boom! The two heavy weapons collided and exploded with a shocking force. A force that was beyond the man in blood-red clothes' imagination surged into his arm, causing his arm to feel a little numb. He was surprised. Devil-killing art. Feeling that Yi Chen-fong was far stronger than he had imagined, the man in blood-red clothes no longer held back. He circulated his devil arts at high speed to dispel the numb feeling in his arm. He attacked fiercely with the tiger pattern heavenly blade. Streaks of blood-red blade shadows slashed down fiercely and shrouded Yi Chen-fong. Facing the man in blood-red clothes' fierce attacks, Yi Chen-fong countered with ease. They fought fiercely in the arena, and dense explosions were incessant. When the two of them were exchanging thousands of moves, Yi Chen-fong suddenly increased his strength to nearly 10 million pounds. He broke the blood-red blade shadows that shrouded him with a hammer and smashed it at the man in blood-red clothes, whose face had changed drastically. PFFF. Caught off guard, the man in blood-red clothes was sent flying by Yi Chen-feng's hammer. The heaven artifact armor that he was wearing was completely deformed. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth as his body crashed heavily on the ground. You have lost. Yi Chen-fong looked coldly at the heavily injured man in blood-red clothes with a sunken chest and said coldly, Die. The arrogant man in blood-red clothes could not accept the fact that he had lost to Yi Chen-fong. Like an angry lion, he roared and pounced at Yi Chen-fong. When he was 3 meters away from Yi Chen-fong, he spat out 2 poisonous silver needles and shot them at Yi Chen-feng's eyes. This attack was very sudden. Ordinary people would not be able to dodge it. However, Yi Chen-fong reacted even faster. He quickly struck out with his palm. Relying on his palm that was comparable to a low-grade Tao artifact, he blocked the 2 poisonous needles and stabbed them back at the man in blood-red clothes' chest. PFFF. The man in blood-red clothes spat out another mouthful of blood and was sent flying. The 2 poisonous needles had pierced deeply into his body and released a large amount of poison. He knew how terrifying the poison was. He immediately took out an antidote pill to detoxify the poison. However, the moment he took out the antidote pill, Yi Chen-fong suddenly appeared in front of him and snatched the antidote pill away. Quick, give me the antidote pill. Feeling the poison in his body, the man in blood-red clothes panicked and ordered loudly. His whole body was in great pain, as if he was being pricked by needles. However, Yi Qinfeng was unmoved. He directly crushed the antidote pill. Under the man's desperate gaze, he ended his life and completed his 50-win streak. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 892. Rock Pestle. An enchanting woman in a black dress witnessed the hopeless scene of the blood-robed man being poisoned, and her complexion changed. Relying on her formidable strength, she tore apart the forbid ants that shrouded the martial stage and appeared on the field. Antidote, give me the antidote! The poison flared up, and the blood-robed man spat out white foam as his entire body twitched. He painfully shouted. However, the antidote had already been destroyed by Yi Qinfeng. The enchanting woman fed the broken pill into the blood-robed man's mouth, but it was unable to save his life. The blood-robed man's poison flared up and died. Under the hateful gaze of the charming woman, Yi Qinfeng left the martial arena. He exchanged for a gold grade star cultivator token from the martial arena's person in charge and returned to the spectator stand, calmly waiting for his second opponent. Yi Qinfeng's second opponent was far inferior to the blood-robed man in strength, but Yi Qinfeng still bitterly fought with him for over 1,000 moves. Relying on his formidable strength, he tore apart his opponent's attack and defeated him, obtaining his 51st consecutive victory. After finishing the day's competition, Yi Qinfeng booked 2 matches for the next day. He left the martial stage that was filled with the thick smell of blood and came to the Triple Thunder Dominion's market square to find treasure. Treasure hunting was something that Yi Qinfeng was rather interested in while he was in the Triple Thunder Dominion. While he was fighting, he didn't miss out on strolling around the city square. He found several good spirit herbs and traded for several dozen array flags that seemed broken and dirty, but were still quite powerful. Walking into the bustling city square, Yi Qinfeng immediately released the soul force in his mind and covered the entire city square, looking for treasures that interested him. Controlling the God-Eater brain to sense for a moment, Yi Qinfeng's eyes brightened as he discovered something that interested him. He immediately walked to the northwest of the market square and arrived in front of a silver-haired old woman with a face full of wrinkles who deliberately concealed her strength. How many points are these 3 jade slips for? Yi Qinfeng looked at the jade items and jade slips placed in front of the silver-haired old woman. He picked up 3 dim jade slips that were engraved with dark lines and softly said, "The first and second jade slips are sold for 100 points, and the third jade slips are sold for 1,000,000 points." The silver-haired old woman who was sitting cross-legged on the ground gently raised her wrinkled eyelids. She glanced at the 3 jade pieces in Yi Qinfeng's hand and slowly said, 1,000,000 points. Yi Qinfeng's goal was precisely this third jade slip. He had picked up 3 jade slips at the same time in order to confuse the silver-haired old woman. However, he did not expect that the silver-haired old woman would know the value of these jade slips. This caused his plan to fail. "Senior, why are you selling this jade piece at such a high price? Could it be that it is engraved with the marks of the great Tao? Or are they engraved with profound Tao skills?" Yi Qinfeng asked. "I obtained this jade slip from an ancient ruin after narrowly escaping death. After studying it, I found that there is a powerful restriction hidden within this jade slip. I spent several tens of years but was unable to unravel this restriction, nor was I able to find out its true value. However, judging from the powerful restrictions hidden within the jade slip, this jade slip definitely hides a big secret. So, 1,000,000 points is definitely not expensive," the silver-haired old woman said slowly. "All right, I'll buy it." With the God-Eater brain, Yi Qin-feng could break any restriction. Without any hesitation, he happily paid 1,000,000 points and obtained the mysterious jade slip from the silver-haired old woman. "Junior, on account of you buying something from me, I'll remind you of something. Someone wants to harm you, so be careful." The silver-haired old woman's turbid eyes swept across the crowd and saw an extremely inconspicuous man in gray clothes who was not very tall. "Thank you for the reminder, Senior. This junior will be careful." Yi Qin-feng had just discovered that someone was following him, but he did not care. After softly thanking the old woman, he got up and left. When Yi Qin-feng disappeared into the bustling crowd, the enchanting woman in a black dress, who exuded a mature charm, appeared. She glanced at Yi Qin-feng's back with a cold gaze, then turned and left. "Sigh, I really don't have enough points. How can I quickly earn points?" Although Yi Qin-feng had obtained 51 consecutive victories, he had only earned 3,000,000 points. Moreover, he had spent 21,000,000 points to buy 10 low-grade heaven crystals and the mysterious jade slip. If he wanted to enter the star field in 70 days, he still needed 18,000,000 points. If he wanted to participate in the auction, he needed to earn even more points. Do I really have to continue selling treasures for points? Yi Qin-feng sighed softly as he thought to himself. After returning to his room, Yi Qin-feng took out the dull and simple jade slip. He released his soul power into the jade slip and felt the mysterious restriction within the jade slip. What a brilliant method! The person who left the restriction in the jade slip is not simple. Their attainments in restriction runes are very deep. As for this restriction, it has probably existed for more than 100,000 years. Yi Qin-feng's soul had been tempered thousands of times and was incomparably powerful. However, when he relied on his powerful soul power to break the restriction, he failed. He immediately controlled the power of the God-Eater brain to penetrate into the jade slip. As the God-Eater brain's deduction speed increased to the peak, a large amount of soul power penetrated into the jade slip. At a speed of tens of thousands of times per second, it forcefully broke the restriction. Kacha! After Yi Qin-feng spent several hours cracking the restriction for an entire night, a crack finally appeared on the jade slip's restriction. Phew, this jade slip's restriction is indeed powerful. Even with the God-Eater brain's heaven-defying power, it only managed to crack a crack after an entire night. Yi Qin-feng saw that the sun had risen. He stopped the God-Eater brain's deduction and simply adjusted his breathing to recover. He left the room and headed to the martial arts arena to participate in today's martial arts competition. After becoming a gold star warrior, the strength of Yi Qin-feng's martial arts opponents had obviously increased. The difficulty of the challenge had increased by a lot. After thousands of fierce exchanges, Yi Qin-feng, who pretended to be exhausted, defeated 2 martial arts opponents in a thrilling manner, completing a 53-match winning streak. After defeating 2 opponents, Yi Qin-feng glanced at the southwest corner of the spectator's stand with the corner of his eyes and revealed a trace of a strange smile. He made an appointment for tomorrow's martial arts competition and left the martial arts arena. He directly returned to the room and continued to crack the restriction on the jade slip. When the God-engulfing brain's rapid deduction and high amplitude continued to decipher until night fell, the restriction in the jade slip finally broke. Yi Qin-feng discovered an ancient divine ability in the jade slip, the stun spell. Secret divine ability. Yi Qin-feng raised his eyebrows and revealed an unexpected joy. Stun technique was a secret divine ability that directly attacked the soul. The stronger the soul, the stronger the dizziness caused by the stun technique, and the longer the duration. Yi Qin-feng's soul had been tempered thousands of times and was incomparably powerful. The stun technique was enough to make a level 5 Beast Emperor dizzy. Feeling that this stun technique was tailor-made for him, Yi Qin-feng suppressed the excitement in his heart and immediately controlled the God-Eater brain to imprint the stun technique's cultivation formula in his mind. He then calmly cultivated it, Just as he was comprehending the stun technique until late at night, his sharp perception passed through the restriction in the room and sensed danger. A powerful restriction shrouded the inn, sealing the entire inn. That enchanting woman with extraordinary strength appeared in the inn with 4 level 1 beast emperors. They were prepared to kill Yi Qinfeng and avenge the dead man in blood-red clothes. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 893. I was just worried that I didn't have enough points, and you guys came knocking on my door. Watermark advertisement, test watermark, advertisement test. Sensing the aura of the 5 people, Yi Qinfeng's lips curled up slightly and revealed a cold smile. 37 array flags that had been washed away by him flew out of his body and fused into the void. Boom! Yi Qinfeng had just summoned the array flags and formed an isolation restriction when the restriction outside the room was torn apart by brute force. Subsequently, the 5 people broke the door and barged in. Young lady, why are you here at my place so late at night? Could it be that your lover died and you want to fall in love with someone else? Yi Qinfeng sat cross-legged on the bed and revealed a faint smile. He said, however, I am not interested in your beauty. I'm afraid you have found the wrong person. You are about to die, and yet you still dare to be so stubborn. I will let you have a taste of my methods in a while. I will make you beg me to kill you like a dog. The enchanting woman's eyes were shooting out flames of hatred as she gritted her teeth and spoke. That day will not come. Yi Qinfeng's lips curled up slightly. His hands moved together and activated the isolation restriction, isolating the entire room. The moment the 5 people were isolated by the array flags, their expressions changed slightly. An inexplicable sense of uneasiness arose in their hearts. They immediately attacked Yi Qinfeng together, wanting to capture him. Go to hell! The enchanting woman yelled out. 2 great Tao intents gushed out from her voluptuous body. She quickly deduced the 2 great Tao intents and formed a terrifying demonic art. The demonic art blasted towards Yi Qinfeng with astonishing power. The 4 true demon race experts didn't hold back either. They transformed into their beast soul forms and executed their most powerful demonic art. They rushed over like a rushing tide. Yi Qinfeng's expression didn't change at all when he was attacked by the alluring woman and the other 3. He watched as the 5 great demonic arts bombarded his body. The incomparably sharp sword Tao pattern gushed out and turned into 5 exceptional divine swords. They cut through all obstacles and shattered the 5 great demonic arts. The 5 demonic arts were sent flying without any ability to resist. If Yi Qinfeng had not shown mercy, this sword strike would have been enough to kill all 5 of them and send them to hell. Who are you? Clutching their bleeding chests, the complexion of the enchanting woman and her companions changed. Even in their wildest dreams, they had never imagined that Yi Qinfeng's strength would be so terrifying. In front of him, they were like 5 children without any strength to fight back. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you guys have made me a little unhappy. Tell me, how should I punish you? Yi Qinfeng said in a low voice as he looked coldly at the 5 of them. I advise you not to act recklessly. If you hurt us, you won't live either. A short, skinny man with an obvious scar on his face suppressed his uneasiness and warned loudly. Really? The corners of Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled up slightly as he said, But I don't believe in heresy. Furthermore, I hate it when people threaten me. So, those who touch my reverse scale die. As soon as he finished speaking, the 5 elements Tao intent gushed out from Yi Qinfeng's body and turned into a 5 elements giant hand. It grabbed at him with astonishing power. The 5 elements giant hand grabbed at him. The 5 of them burned their blood and chi at the same time to increase their strength to the greatest extent. Then they used their demonic techniques to attack. However, the difference in strength between them and Yi Qinfeng was too great. The demonic techniques they used could not shake the 5 elements giant hand that was covered with multiplication Dao patterns and had terrifying power. Boom! The demonic techniques used by the 5 of them were crushed by the 5 elements giant hand. Under the despairing gaze of the short man, the 5 elements giant hand crushed his body and directly crushed him into minced meat. He died on the spot. I killed him. Which one of you wants to avenge him? The corners of Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a trace of an evil smile. He looked at the 4 of them who were like birds startled by the twang of a bow and deliberately asked, "Today is our fault. As long as you are willing to let us go, I promise that I will not trouble you in the future." Looking at the short man who had turned into minced meat on the ground, the 4 of them were frightened out of their wits. They lowered their noble heads and kept begging for mercy. They prayed that Yi Qinfeng would let them go. What if I am not willing? Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled up slightly and said, without a trace of emotion, Sir, as long as you are willing to let us go, we are willing to pay any price." Beads of sweat appeared on the forehead of the enchanting woman who was trembling slightly as she pleaded, "At least you are tactful." Yi Qinfeng suddenly revealed a smile and said, "Tell me, how many points do you have? If you have enough points, I can consider sparing your lives." "I have 3 million points. I have 2 million points. I have 800,000 points. I just spent my points. I still have 100,000 points." The enchanting woman and the others scrambled to speak first. "What? 100,000? Yi Qinfeng stared and said with a murderous aura, "What is the use of keeping a pauper like you?" When he saw the murderous aura in Yi Qinfeng's eyes, this true demon race expert was afraid and quickly said, Wait, I might not have many points, but as long as you let me go, I can ask my father to give you 5 million points." 5 million points? Do you think I am a beggar? Yi Qinfeng sneered and said, "Each of you have to give me at least 10 million points. Otherwise, I will immediately send you to hell." 10 million points. The true demon race might have a cooperative relationship with the Xingluo Heaven City, but the Xingluo Heaven City would not give them points for no reason. Therefore, 10 million points was already a lot for them. If you don't have them, then die. Yi Qinfeng didn't waste time talking to him. His sword Dao pattern gushed out and condensed into a sword of Dao will. He slashed at Yi Qinfeng with an invincible slash. The sword broke through Yi Qinfeng's defenses and split him in half. Now that he is dead, your points will be split among the 3 of you. Therefore, if you want to live, each of you will have to give me 15 million points to redeem your lives. Yi Qinfeng looked at the 3 of them, who were so frightened that their faces were pale and their bodies were trembling. He questioned them without a trace of emotion. Yes. With our identities, the clan will definitely be willing to use 45 million points to redeem us. Witnessing the scene of Yi Qinfeng killing 2 people in a row, the eyes of the bewitching woman and the other 2 widened in fright. They did not dare to disobey Yi Qinfeng's orders at all, and they hurriedly promised. All right, then you will send a message to the clan and ask for the points. Yi Qinfeng nodded and ordered in an irresistible tone, Remember, if you don't ask for the points or spout nonsense, you will end up like the 2 of them. Yes. The enchanting woman and the other 2 trembled as they took out their communication beads. They fabricated a reason and asked for the points from the clan. As 15 million points was not a small amount, although the reason they came up with was not bad, the 3 of them asking for a large amount of points at the same time still attracted the suspicion of the true demon clan's experts. In the end, under Yi Qinfeng's instructions, they agreed on a place to exchange the points, although Yi Qinfeng had a premonition that there would be an accident during the exchange of points. He did not care about it. With his current strength and the sword puppet, which was a level 6 combat Beast Emperor, even if he encountered a level 6 combat Beast Emperor from the True Demon clan, he would not be afraid. All right, let's go. We will wait for your clansmen at the agreed place. Yi Qinfeng controlled the Tao intent of life and death and applied the seal of life and death on the three of them, sealing their hearts and veins. He said, "If your clansmen dare to play any tricks during the exchange, then don't blame me for being merciless and sending the three of you to hell." After he finished speaking, Yi Qinfeng took back the formation flags that were used to restrict the space. Then he led the three people who were feeling uneasy to the rendezvous location. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to read it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 894. In the northwest of the Triple Lightning Dominion, there was a hill with a complicated terrain. A type of black bamboo grew on the hill. Looking from afar, the undulating bamboo looked like a black ocean. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test, they're here. Yi Qinfeng stepped into the dark night and arrived at the black bamboo forest with the enchanting woman and her two companions. His sharp senses detected 6 powerful experts approaching quickly, and he revealed a smile. Among the 6 people, 2 of them were level 4 Beast Emperors, while the other 4 were level 3 Beast Emperors. With the strength of the 6 of them, if they were in the eastern continent, the Yu family would be wary of them. However, to the current Yi Qinfeng, they were not a threat at all. Yi Qinfeng acted as if he did not sense their presence. Silently, he sat behind the enchanting woman and her 2 companions, waiting for them to arrive. Yen, a deep voice broke the silence of the black bamboo forest. 6 true demons experts appeared at the same time, surrounding Yi Qinfeng and his 3 companions. "Father, save me." Looking at the tall and straight middle-aged man in a black robe who had a thick black beard and demonic aura surrounding his body, the enchanting woman seemed to have found her backbone and begged loudly for mercy. So, just as she finished her words, a sharp sword ray cut her neck. Immediately, a large amount of blood flowed out, dyeing her snow-white neck red. "This is only a warning. If you speak carelessly again, I will definitely cut off your head and send you to the afterlife." Although the enchanting woman was beautiful, Yi Qinfeng would never show mercy to his enemies. He warned her without a trace of emotion. "Brat, how dare you injure people in front of us?" An old man with snow-white hair, sunken eyes, and a fiendish appearance ordered fiercely. "If you know what's good for you, release Yen and her 2 companions. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. Don't talk nonsense. Did you bring the 45 million points?" Yi Qinfeng said coldly, "If you didn't, then you can just wait to collect their corpses." "You." The ferocious old man did not expect Yi Qinfeng to be so arrogant. His face sank as a powerful, baleful aura erupted from his aged body. "What? You don't want them to live anymore? Since that's the case, I'll send the 3 of them to their deaths." As he spoke, Yi Qinfeng's body burst out with swift and fierce sword Dao patterns. They condensed into 3 peerless swords that emanated swift and fierce killing intent as they hovered above the heads of the 3 people. "We'll give you 45 million points, but you have to swear that once we give you the points, you'll release them immediately," the black-clothed man said in a low voice. His face was extremely gloomy as he tried his best to control his emotions. "You have no right to bargain with me. If you don't give me the points, I will kill them immediately," Yi Qinfeng said coldly. "All right, I'll give you the points, but if you dare to lie to me, I'll definitely exterminate your entire family and imprison you for 100 years. The black-clothed man took a deep breath and suppressed the killing intent in his heart. He took out 3 points cards with 15 million points on each card and threw them to Yi Qinfeng. "N, you guys are indeed rich and overbearing. I wonder how much ransom your clans will pay to redeem your lives if I capture you guys?" Yi Qinfeng kept the 3 points cards into his universe ring. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he revealed a cold smile. He suddenly burst out from the ground and launched an attack at them. When they saw Yi Qinfeng attacking the black-clothed man and the other 5 people were startled. They didn't expect that Yi Qinfeng would take the initiative to deal with them before they even made a move. "You're courting death," the white-haired old man who came back to his senses roared. A celestial treasure ruler covered in ancient runes flew out of his mouth. It constantly enlarged and whipped towards Yi Qinfeng with a shocking momentum. Yi Qinfeng immediately swung his fist to meet the celestial treasure ruler's attack. The Tao insights of the 5 elements and the Tao insights of life and death covered his fist and formed a multiplying Tao insight pattern. He smashed his fist onto the celestial treasure ruler. Crack! The Tao insights of the 5 elements and the Tao insights of life and death erupted at the same time. The terrifying Tao insights forcefully shattered the extremely hard celestial treasure ruler. "What?" The white-haired old man and the others looked as if they had seen a ghost when they witnessed the scene before them. They never imagined that Yi Qinfeng's strength would actually be so powerful that he could shatter a celestial treasure with a single punch. Just as they were hesitating, a light flashed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. He appeared in front of the black-clothed man and the others like a bolt of lightning and launched a fierce attack on them. In order to end the battle quickly, Yi Qinfeng unleashed his full strength. His palm that was filled with the Tao insights of the 2 elements and the Tao insights of life and death continued to fall. The terrifying palm force seemed to be able to smash through the sky. The black-clothed man, the white-haired old man, and the others vomited blood and were forced to retreat continuously. The 4-level, 3-combat beast emperors of the True Demon clan were severely injured by the giant palm that covered the sky. They fell to the ground while vomiting blood and almost lost the ability to continue fighting. True Demon Heaven technique. Their attacks were completely suppressed by Yi Qinfeng. The level 4 combat beast emperors of the black-clothed man and the white-haired old man immediately ignited the power of their bloodline and transformed into their beast souls. They quickly circulated the True Demon Heaven technique and released billowing demon chi to attack Yi Qinfeng. True Demon Sword. The 2 of them unleashed the demon chi in their bodies to the extreme. They immediately condensed 2 demon swords that were completely made of demon chi and slashed towards Yi Qinfeng, breaking 10,000 Tao insights with strength. Facing the 2's ultimate moves, Yi Qinfeng relied on his powerful physical strength to resist the attacks. He relied on his absolute strength to break the 2's ultimate moves. Skyfire Fist of the Great Sun. Following that, Yi Qinfeng unleashed the Tao insights of the 5 elements to the extreme. He blasted out 2 fists that were like blazing suns. They distorted the space and blasted towards the 2 of them. True Demon Heaven technique, Demon Chi Seal. Feeling the aura of death from the Skyfire Fist of the Great Sun, the black-clothed man and the white-haired old man immediately controlled their demon chi and Tao insights to seal the space and block the attack of the Skyfire Fist of the Great Sun Rumble. The 2 fists that were like blazing suns exploded in front of the 2 of them. The terrifying Tao insights tore apart the demon chi that sealed the space and shook their blood and chi, causing them to retreat. Before they had a chance to take a breather, Yi Qinfeng appeared behind them like a ghost. He unleashed a powerful force and blasted them on their backs. Crack! The sound of 2 bones breaking could be heard. The black-clothed man and the white-haired old man's backs were shattered by Yi Qinfeng. They spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood and fell from mid-air to the ground. They smashed 2 huge pits in the ground. Seeing the black-clothed man and the white-haired old man, who were the strongest among them, being level 4 combat beast emperors. Being defeated, the other 4 level 3 combat beast emperors of the true demon tribe fled in panic. Die. Yi Qinfeng's eyes shot out rays of light and locked onto the 4 of them. For extremely sharp sword rays slashed across the sky. They were intertwined with 10 layers of sword Dao. They were directly split into 2 from head to toe, killing them on the spot. Following that, Yi Qinfeng continued to attack. He intertwined Dao patterns and blasted the black-clothed man and the white-haired old man. He aggravated their injuries and caused them to lose their combat strength. They fell to the ground weakly and spat out blood. Not bad, not bad. I caught 2 big fish again. Yi Qinfeng looked at the black-clothed man and the white-haired old man who were spitting out blood and were severely injured. He pondered for a moment and said, "Come, tell me how many points you are worth. If you are not worth it, I will send you to the next world." The black-clothed man was so angry that he spat out blood. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that he would not only fail to rescue them, but he would also be held hostage. This humiliation made him feel so ashamed that he wanted to die. "Cut the crap. I will kill whoever dares to spout nonsense." Yi Qinfeng glared and warned loudly, "The 2 of you, each of you ask for 30 million points from the family as ransom. The 3 of you, each of you ask for 10 million points from the family as ransom." Yi Qinfeng, who had just extorted 45 million points, was addicted. He continued to extort the true demon tribe. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.